Hello everyone, and welcome to the very last round of the 2020 because this has been a cracking season of racing, and I can think of no better place to end it than the Autodromo José Carlos Pata in Sao Paulo, Brazil. My name's Caitlin Penny. Alongside me is not, as usual, Ryan Elliott. Instead, we have Edward Hunter of FSR fame. Ed, great place to end the championship, but unfortunately, no Drivers' Championship to be crowned today.
No, that's very correct, Caitlin, and thanks. I like to think I'm of GPVWC fame as well, but FSR have also really enjoyed this season, and it's appropriate that you mention that because of course, Jake Dennehan, champion in a Super League for the first time this season, also after a week after finishing runner-up in FSR, so a very, very good year all round for Mr. Jake Dennehan, and of course for Edge Esports, who currently have a narrow lead in the Teams Championship over THR.
Absolutely. Now, if you saw the last race, the championship was wrapped up in quite unfortunate circumstances, with Tom Stevens being wiped out in a first corner collision. It was going to be a very close finish to the championship, with the two of them coming into that round not far separated on points. But Jake Dennehan's win and Tom Stevens' failure to score points was enough to give him a 27-point buffer with 26 points on offer. He is tantalizingly close, but unfortunately there is nothing that Tom Stevens can do now. Jan Grankvist is best of the rest in the championship, and that is now confirmed after a 6th place finish at the last round. And then Adam Maguire swaps places with Tomasz Wach in the championship. They are equal on points today, and that is the top battle in the Drivers' Championship, as far as that is concerned. Jakub Alalu, Luke Maguire, Robin Panzer, Daniel Stepkowski and Stefan Rohr have also had strong seasons, with Rohr moving up into the top 10 now ahead of Mark Schluter after Schluter's failure to score points at Abu Dhabi. So that's how it all stands here. We're riding on board with David Vidok, who has returned to that seat for Stax Racing. He's sat out several rounds, but of course we can't finish out the season without double champion David Vidok. And he takes us around a lap of the Sao Paulo circuit then.
Indeed he does then. So coming up into turn 8 and into the technical sort of midfield section, he's just trying to make sure he gets the exit he needs as he approaches Bico di Pato, that sort of 90-degree right-hander. A little bit of camber there, and then the camber reverses as he goes downhill through Mergulho. It's a purple first sector, of course, though he is one of the first out on the lap. David Vidok with his checkered flag helmet, of course, that we know so well from his years of experience here. As he powers now uphill, coming out through Junchao, through turn 14 and 15.
If we've lost Ed.
7.8. That is the fastest time so far, though Moritz Kropp falls just short of that. And now Janice Volburn sits at 107.6, but I doubt that's going to be hold for too long because here through comes Luke Maguire, Stickster, Fournier, and now Maguire's teammate Tom Stevens goes faster as Grankvist now, he's looking to get himself at the top of the table too.
Very good, across the line, P1 for Jan Grankvist so far, less than 300ths of a second ahead of Tom Stevens. I went go-karting with a friend the other day, and she beat my lap time by 300ths of a second, so I'm rather salty about that, but there you go. Jake Dennehan about to complete a lap as well, goes across the time, and he hits Jan to P1, almost 1 minute and 7 seconds exactly. It's the shortest lap time on the calendar, now that we don't have the Red Bull ring to contend for that. So Jake goes P1 for the time being. Stefan Rohr is on a good lap as well. This could well be P1. Across the line, P3 he goes, so Edge Esports looking very fast in the early part of this qualifying session, but there is still a long way to go. Now, we were watching David Vidok just now, and I do have to thank him because he has reminded me that this is unfortunately the final race in GPVWC for Red Archer, at least for the foreseeable future. Red Archer, of course, one of the oldest teams in the sport. They made their debut back in 2010. They are second in terms of the most ever races in Super League ranking. They've done 242 Grand Prix, and that means they're only behind Nordschulen, having raced since 2010. They're also second in the most points finishes. They've been in the points 331 across all of their drivers combined, Again, that puts them just behind Nordschuen, who retired in 2017. They're third in terms of the most points scored. They're 10th in terms of the most podiums, as you see Jason Muscat fittingly driving for Red Archer today. They have 10 wins, spread between Jason Muscat, Fran Lopez, Fabio Sixter and Matthias Moos. So Jason Muscat returning to the team for their final Grand Prix, which is very, very fitting indeed. They took the 2011 title with points from David Yunt, Jason Muscat here, and Greg Lawson. So 12 years ago, Jason fought for Red Archer's Constructors / Teams Championship, and they've never been relegated from the Superleague Championship. So they were one of the mainstays of the series, and it is very fitting that Jason Muscat should return for their final Grand Prix, Ed.
Indeed it is, and he might be able to help them out in the team stable as well, because Red Archer are currently down in 11th, just 6 points behind Green Stripes Racing in 10th, of course, on 80 points. So yeah, there's still places in that championship up for grabs, and Red Archer definitely looking to end on a high in the top 10. That'd be great for a team. And Muscat being around for 12 seasons as well. It's always great to see sim racing careers with such longevity, and I'm sure Red Archer is a name that's going to be very much missed. But who knows? They've certainly got the door open for a comeback in the future, of course. But we're going to bid them a very, very fond goodbye, and hopefully not farewell.
Of course, so Jason Muscat in one of the Red Archers, Matthias Moos in the other, and of course he won 2 Grand Prix for that team as well, so they have a strong lineup for today. Now we're looking at Yannis Wilburn. We were told that Pascal Pollens was supposed to drive that car today, but he is hanging out with his family doing something or other. So Yannis Wilburn will be driving that car instead. He goes P12 in the times for the time being. And we now switch our sights to Ruben Machedi, who's been up and coming through the last few seasons, and has been strong, although a little inconsistent recently. It always seems like he's going to have a better result than he actually does. It seems that he falters later on in the races, but even so, he's had 4 top 10 finishes, having missed the first 5 races of the season. Tom Stevens now goes second in the order, less than a tenth of a second behind Jake Dennehan. So the top 2 in the championship, in fact the top 3 in the championship, are the top 3 on the road, and that would be quite a competitive starting grid, especially since none of those drivers have anything to lose anymore.
Yeah, and look at the gap between Grankvist and Stevens, just 0.007 of a second as well. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of give and take between the pair. They must be very, very evenly matched through all 3 sectors then. Indeed, they are 16.7, I think, in the first sector for Grankvist, although he's gone 2 tenths slower on this lap as we ride on board with Adam Maguire, who is improving. I say down in 5th, that's quite high up the grid, and he also is set 16.7 in the first sector as he gets well on the curb and then gets right to the outside for Pico Di Pato then. So the Irishman really putting those soft tyres through their paces then with 7 minutes to go, and a little bit slower in the middle sector than his previous best, but that's only marginally. If he gets a good run here, he can maybe be able to make the difference, Caitlin.
Up the hill he goes. Adam Maguire, this doesn't look to be a pole challenging time, and he comes into the pits, so he's going to be setting up for another run. Looks like he's not the only person who's had that idea. Dennehan, Stevens, and now Grankvist are all in the pits as well, so most of the top 5, with Machedi joining them in the pit lane as well. So at this point in time, it's all about setting up for the next run. Of course, the advantage with Brazil being such a short circuit is that you can do more qualifying laps than you would at other circuits. At Spa, for example, you very much have a structured session where it's 3 timed laps. You go up for a banker, you have 1 in the middle just in case the times change, and whoa, big twitch there for Luke Mitchell, who's going to lose control, and we're lucky that he's going to make the wall there. No, keeps it out, very good. And we're lucky that we're in single person qualifying, so he couldn't have speared into anyone else. Luke Mitchell, by the way, I should mention, of course, very competitive in other championships. He was, if I remember correctly, he was champion in FS2 this year.
He was. I was commentating when that happened, Caitlin. Yeah, so it was a great year for Luke Mitchell in FS2. He's also been quite successful in ERC British Touring cars, where he's driven for my team, Underbird Simulation, won quite a number of races, including one where I forgot to submit the right tyres, because there's a lot of rules about which races you can use the soft tyres in, and I submitted a different race to the one he actually used the softs in, as Florian Gaia has a massive spin going uphill after Jian Zhao that gets going again. So yeah, Luke Mitchell did lose a win because of me. So if Luke Mitchell's not more successful this year, it's me that's to blame.
Fair enough. Well, when I say he won Former Sprint 2, I should say he absolutely dominated it. 152 points was his margin at the end, and there was absolutely no stopping him when he was on form. But anyway, here's Yannis Walburn coming into the pits. This will be Luke Mitchell's first GPWC race of the season, if I remember correctly. I don't think it's his first overall, but I will double check that because I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, awesome to see him racing for the Pescara ADG team. And we were talking about teams that really need points. Unfortunately, it looks as if Pescara are almost certainly going to be at the bottom of the standings at the end of the day. Barring, of course, an absolute miracle in the results, but they are 28 points behind any other team at this point in time, which means probable relegation as well to Super League, or Super Light, sorry. Here we are on board with Owen McGorgy, HRT, and I should very much thank Dethan Rootring, who has offered me a drive in the Young Drivers test for HRT, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And it's not the first time that's happened either, so a very generous team. And McGorgy, talking of young drivers, very competitive in this session, P8 so far, as we switch back to Jan Grankvist on yet another lap. He'll have time to come in and set up for another one too.
Yeah, it's a good thing they didn't invite your friend who beat you by 0.003 of a second, as there we go, Jan Grankvist goes second fastest, it secures that time over Tom Stevens. But he's only a little bit closer to Jake Dennehan, 27 thousandths separate him from pole position.
And in my friend's defence, it was 0.03 of a second. But
oh,
anyway,
okay, it was even close.
Nick
It was
Mitchell
not that
into
close.
the pits now. I'm still trying to look up whether this is his first GPWC Super League race, but I would be surprised if it was. Matthew Williams here. He had his best result at this circuit 2 years ago. He was 3rd place and scored his first ever podium in this series. Back onto the Luke Mitchell thing. He has started 2 Super League races in the past, both of them last season. He started in Monaco and Canada. Yet to score a point though, so today I'm sure that will be his goal, and also the goal of the Pescara ADG team run by Eros Masciuli. And Masciuli himself has been driving that car throughout the season, although I don't see him out on track today because the other Pescara ADG car is being driven by Moritz Prop, so slightly different there, but there you go. And it looks like we have yet another full house of 26 cars, so very nice to see.
Yep, always great to see the season end with a full grid. As you see the green stripes racing car of Mark Schluter go towards the line and goes up from 25th to 13th, so a late lap from Mark Schluter, really coming at the right moment there, 107.001.
Now I've just noticed that Adonis have Terence Grack behind the wheel of their second car. Now, Terence Grack does not, at least according to the competition screen on the GPWC website, does not have a contract with any team. So unless the website just hasn't updated that, but I kind of assumed that would happen automatically, so that's a little strange. Terence is the driver who's also been around, sorry, what was that, Szymon? Probably has permission to race, yeah. Been around for another good few years. I remember he was in the very first race that I commentated back in 2017. But yeah, strange to see him out there but not on the website, as into the pits comes David Wasserman. And now we're into the final minute and a half of the session, so this is the point in time where drivers, and actually Tom Stevens might not get, I think he might just about get time for another lap, but this is the point in time where you've got to get out and set that final flying lap. He's not going to get time to get around them, because he's going to exit the pit lane. Yeah, there you go.
He's just realised that, hasn't he?
He's just realised. He was going to exit the pit lane with about 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining, and the fastest lap is 1 minute and 7. so he waited a little too long there, and the best he can hope for is 4th on the grid, since he's now been pipped by Matthew Williams with a very strong lap for Mood Auto Concepts. Here's Jason Muscat, currently P23. I'm sure he can do better than that. A multiple Grand Prix winner in the past is Jason. Across the line he goes to start his final qualifying lap for Red Archer. Through the first few corners he goes, a beautiful sequence of corners, which really lends itself to overtaking and switchback maneuvers. There's another DRS straight after it. It's a very well designed sequence of corners and part of the track, especially since it was designed before DRS was even a thing. And now we look to Stefan Royal coming towards the end of the lap as well. So Denahan, Grankvist, Williams, Royal, Maguire, they all appear to be on laps at this point in time. Denahan set a purple first sector. Royal set a purple second sector. His first sector was about a 10th off. Williams' first sector was slightly quicker than Royal's, but not as quick as Denahan. You could say the same thing for Adam Maguire. Royal coming across the line now. He should go, well, he's in P3. So Royal less than a 10th of a second off. The top 5 are now separated by less than a 10th of a second in the times, which shows you just how tight the field is and how small the Sao Paulo circuit is. Denahan with another purple sector is presumably about to blow everyone out of the water here. I don't think there is any stopping this lap for Jake Denahan. This will be the pole position time that we're watching as he approaches the lap with the DRS wide open. Across the line he goes. It's a 106.840, which puts him just under 0.2 of a second ahead of Grankvist. Grankvist, oh, he needed a flyer in the final sector and he does not improve, so he's just off. Magorki will not improve either. He's sliding around out of the final corner there, and it looks as if that's going to be the order. Yes, because Magorki is in the pits now, so that means that... Actually, I'm just going to wait for David Vassman to cross the line, since he has not yet set a lap time. It's not going to challenge for pole, but could, and he's in the pits as well. So that means that the order, at least for the Moose part, is set. Jake Denahan is at the top of the times, followed by Jan Grankvist, Stefan Royal, Matthew Williams, Tom Stevens, Adam Maguire, Matthias Moose, Luke Maguire, Owen Magorki, and Ruben Machedi, the top 10. That is barring any penalties, which I haven't yet seen. But that is the order as it stands. And 25 out of the 26 drivers were able to set laps at the end.
Yep, so unfortunately David Vassman not quite getting a time on the board before the session ended, but Grankvist was actually really impressive in that final sector. There's 16.017 faster than Denahan, 16.092, but it was those losing 2 tenths in the first and second sectors which really cost him there. So Grankvist still looking strong for the race and yet to take his first win of the season. He'll be desperate for that, but Denahan has got his eyes on that team's championship now.
Absolutely, and I think Grankvist stands a very good chance of it still. Because, yeah, Denahan is P1, but you have to remember, none of those guys have anything to lose, so it's got to be a real end-of-term feeling at the front of the grid. There you see the Epic Racing Team cars, Sixter ahead of Fournier, and Tomasz Włoch, Mark Schluter, Stepkowski, Pansar, Woolburn, Shipsick, Lalu, Gaia. Another disappointing quali for Pansar. He's really dropped off the pace these last few races, I'm afraid to say. And you could say that about the Adonis team as a whole. Then again, where's the other Adonis? Yeah, so Terence Grech in 24th position there. Vidok, Muscat, Krop, Grech, Mitchell, and Vassman will round out the field. Pescara also with a disappointing qualifying, especially considering the strength of that driver lineup. They clearly do not have the upgrades, they don't have the car to challenge in this series at this point in time, because both of those drivers are absolutely capable of better than that. A little strange how David Vassman didn't complete a lap when he absolutely could have done that, but I guess it wasn't looking like a particularly competitive lap anyway, so he might have been at the back of the grid even if he had completed it. And back on the subject of penalties, I've been looking at the race steward's decisions from the last Grand Prix, and there are no outstanding grid penalties. So that means that everything you just saw will be the order that the cars will start the race in, providing of course no one elects to start from the pit lane or anything like that, but there you go. there's the championship standings, as you've seen again. The positions that could change today. You've got 4th place being contested between Maguire, Walk, and Lalu, I think. Yeah, Maguire, Walk, Lalu, and possibly Luke Maguire. There's the teams championship, and you have to remember this is the one that we'll be looking at mainly, because Edge Esports and THR are separated by just 3 points and swap places in the last round due to that dismal round for THR, where both drivers were taken out of points-paying positions. Super Venturi are confirmed as 3rd in the championship, and there is a battle for 4th place between Powered by RSR and Nocturne. I'm sure that Ryan Elliott will be watching that one with curiosity. Adonis Engineering are 6th, HRT passed Stacks in the last race, Epic passed Green Stripes in the last race, and then the final 3 teams in the series are Red Archer, of course, are driving in their final Grand Prix today, and scored a podium last time out with Matthias Moose, so they would like to repeat that form. Mood Auto Concepts, whose best result this year was a 6th place with Matthew Williams, and Pescara ADG, whose best result was a 9th place with Alessandro Quinte, way back at the first race of the season. So that's how we stand, and we're going to find out how it finishes after 71 laps of Grand Prix racing in due time. But first of all, we've got to wait an excruciating 8 minutes of warm-up before we can even see the cars in action.
Well, we'll have to fill that time then, I guess, Caitlin. But certainly there's worse ways to spend a Thursday evening, that's for sure, than watching a 8-minute warm-up session. But yeah, lots of big storylines yet to be resolved. There's, of course, that big battle for 4th, as you mentioned, in the Drivers' Championship between Thomas Vack, Adam Maguire, Chukwuemeka Lalu, who's 10 points behind Maguire. Maguire's only about 4 points behind Vack, and Luke Maguire is only about 11 points behind Lalu as well. And I think Robin Pansar is about 3 points adrift in 8th. So they are pretty bunched together behind our top 3 in the drivers. And as you say, in the teams, our focus is really going to be on that narrow battle between Edge and THR. And I think for THR, it's a shame in a way that the last 2 races really haven't gone to plan, because Japan, of course, their second car retired, and Stevens was only able to finish 5th, so they've not finished on the podium since Luke Maguire in Singapore, I believe, with his 3rd place. So yeah, that not double retirement, but both cars outside the points in Abu Dhabi, whilst Edge Esports got both cars home in the top 4, because of course the second car has been in it most of the year, although not at the very start, of course, and he's not really come on song until these last couple of races, I think, where he's finished both of them in the top 4. So really coming alive right when Edge needed him the most. And Danahan, of course, has been incredibly consistent throughout the season. His worst finish has only been a 13th and a 7th in Italy and Singapore. Other than that, he's never finished outside the top 3 all season. And of course, there was Spain where he got disconnected before the start, so that was the only race he really missed. But yeah, you can't really fault too much of what Danahan's been doing this season. That qualifying session was another beautiful illustration of why. And I think I was reading this up. I think Danahan is sort of equal with Alex Siebel. I don't think anyone has ever won Super League and FSR World Championship in the same year. And Danahan, I think, is one of the ones who's got closest, with 2nd DNA Simoncic in FSR, and of course winning the championship last time out here for Super League. So yeah, certainly I did some sort of record, although it's sort of one short of breaking the record, I guess, for Danahan. But hey, it's nobody's perfect, especially when they've got DNA Simoncic to compete against, who's, if anything, just is more like Danahan's speed, but even more seasoned, I would say.
Yeah, very good point, and that would be an interesting thing to look up, actually, whether drivers have won both in the same season, especially considering the long-term friendly rivalry of Formula Sim Racing and the GPVWC.
Oh,
at the same
this is
time,
praising Jake, he destroys the rear end of the car.
Exactly, that is one thing that we're glad to see in practice or in warm-up rather than in the actual Grand Prix. Could you imagine? But anyway, Jake Danahan in the barriers, and we were just seeing in the YouTube chat that indeed Jake is jaking. That was posted by Aviation Chad. Matthias Pishan saying Jake is cooking. And indeed, it was a big result in qualifying the Edge, as said by Owen. because both of the edge drivers were ahead of both of the THR drivers. And in the championship, or in the battle for the team's championship, that is the most important thing to see. Really, of course, they need to make sure that THR don't outscore them by 3 points, but they would outscore THR by quite a few points if it was to finish like that. And so they really wouldn't have to worry about finishing positions. Tom Stevens or Luke Maguire, edge looking very, very strong here. Now, it's become a little bit of a tradition this year for me to slightly curse someone by predicting them for an unlikely victory. And I'm actually going to say that Matthew Williams stands a very good chance today. Because Matthew, despite never having won a Super League Grand Prix before, goes extremely well here at Brazil, here at Sao Paulo. Not only did he get his best Super League result here back in 2021, but he also won here in Super Light 2020, and of course he's qualified well on the grid, 4th place from Route Auto Concept, probably their best qualifying position of the year so far, unless I'm very much mistaken. And so I think we're going to see something rather big from Matthew Williams today. It's also a bit of a trend this season that the qualifying result doesn't sum up the race result whatsoever. There really haven't been that many instances of the pole sitter going on to win the race. I'm actually going to go through that stat and see just how many there have been in a minute, but yes, it really isn't the be all and end all, and I think that from 4th place on the grid, Matthew Williams actually does stand a genuine chance of winning today.
Yeah, Matthew Williams, of course, the British driver, the 2021 Superlights champion with Stax Racing, although of course he got his win with TR Motorsports the year before in Superlights, as you suggest. And he got that, was it the podium with VBM Esports in Super League in 2021, where he finished 3rd in Brazil. So yeah, good track for him in FSR as well, where he got his best career result there, was 2nd place, fighting Colin Spork. I believe he was the only one who could have helped Alex Seibel win the championship by beating Colin Spork, but Spork just pipped him on that occasion. Finished well there this year as well. He actually got Royal Blue after they had a really horrible start to the FSR season. They were able to just pip, I think it was Brabham Arnage. Matthew Williams was just able to help the team pip them by a single point in the team's championship to 7th. So yeah, Matthew Williams, he always seems to pull out the bag when you least expect it, and he's certainly got some impressive racecraft, the British driver. So he's had some pretty bad luck really this season. I think of Hungary, where he retired from that race while running well. He's had a couple others where he's been running high in the points as well, but it's not quite come together for him or Mode. So hopefully he can end the season on a high and set himself up to have a much stronger run in 2024.
Indeed, I just checked that result, or that statistic, out of curiosity, and the pole sitter has only won the Grand Prix on 5 out of the 15 races so far this year, so that's only a third of the time. And if you really think about it, that's not much for a pole sitter. In Formula 1 it seems to happen over half of the time, and so you really can't rely on the results of qualifying to determine who is going to come out on top. Of course, Jake Dennehan has won 6 races so far this year. Only 2 of those were actually from pole position, one of those being last time out in Abu Dhabi, and the other one being in Saudi way back in round 5. And he's on pole again today, so statistically he does definitely stand a chance, I think, and I think realistically you've got to consider him a favourite still. But you've also got to remember he's won the championship at this point. He's not going to be as hungry as he would otherwise have been. Same goes for Tom Stevens a few rows back. I think you've also got to look at Jan Grankvist, top driver in the championship without a victory. He's been on the podium 6 times this season, 2 of those 2nd places. He very nearly won in Japan. I don't know, did you see the Japanese Grand Prix this year? It was amazing stuff.
I must confess I was busy that Thursday, and I tuned in for the final couple of laps, which were pretty immense. And of course, with Thomas Vack just holding off Jan and a whole stream of other drivers. And I think Jan was very unlucky with that collision at 130R, ultimately undid his race essentially. But it's quite a spectacular show up to that point. I think Ruot was involved in the battle as well, and then eventually let Dennehan through, which was part of what helped Jake secure that Drivers' Championship a race early, of course. But anyway, checkered
Yeah,
flag is out as we look at Owen McGorgy, our Superlights champion of 2023, filling in once more at Holland Racing, going very, very wide. And going right over the curb once more. So he knows we're watching, and he's just having a bit of fun. I wouldn't wiggle that much with the DRS open, but Owen McGorgy's got better car control than I do, that's for sure. Oh, although you wouldn't know it from that.
That looked very deliberate to me, but anyway, I guess if you're going to put yourself on camera at a time where it doesn't matter, then you might as well show off a bit, have a little bit of fun, get the sponsors on the camera. But anyway. Here are the THR guys, just bringing each other to the line. These guys are going to have a crucial role to play in today's race, and we know that these guys are very intelligent, especially when it comes to strategy and racecraft. So I'm sure that they'll still have a part to play in this race, despite starting behind the edge, guys. There you see the circuit, one of the best race circuits in the world, if you ask me. One of the shortest on the Grand Prix calendar. It's not quite as short as Monaco would be in terms of actual length, although we didn't actually go to Monaco this year, so even that's irrelevant. So it is the shortest circuit on the calendar in terms of both length and lap time, and that means, of course, that traffic could come into play later on, especially with the speed that the leaders are showing. And it also means, of course, that we've got 71 laps to contend with. The drivers are really getting into a rhythm here, hitting their marks every single lap. They'll know it off by heart. I mean, they already will, of course, but by the end of it, be able to see it in their dreams. And after it's all said and done, I'm afraid to say that will be the end of the Superleague Championship for 2023. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got an exciting race to come. And it's always exciting here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. So it's definitely still one to look to.
Yeah, and let's not forget, by the way, even after the season ends, we will still have race champions to look forward to, where Jake Danahan again won that last year and will be looking to maintain his crown. Of course, narrowly beat Jan Grankvist in the final, I believe, that time. And I believe we've actually got 4 of our GPVWC champions, because I think Yannick Bock is going to come back to take part in that after a year away in FSR, of all places. He finished 8th for, I think it was a TX3, Virtual Drivers by TX3, of course, in the Drivers' Championship. So certainly great to see our 2020, our double champion, actually, Yannick Bock, back in action. And of course, the likes of Rolt, I'm sure, will be taking part. And I forget who the 4th driver was, but I'm sure it was someone of a high caliber and quality. So, but anyway, for now, as you say, Interlagos, that team's championship, and the battle for 4th in the drivers is going to take up our attention.
So away we go then on the formation lap. You see the circuit on your screen once again, but we're about to see the starting order. Jake Danahan is on pole position alongside Jan Grankvist, hungry for his first GPVWC win. Stefan Roll is 3rd position. He's not won this race just yet this year, but very competitive driver. He won the championship here in 2021. Matthew Williams is 4th, and my prediction for the win, but we'll see how that goes. Tom Stevens 5th, then Adam Maguire, Mateus Moose, and Luke Maguire. Owen McGorgy is 9th, then it's Ruben Machete, Fabio 6th, and Jenny Fournier, so an absolutely epic row 6. Tomasz Vok, P13, then it's Mark Schluter, Dan Stepkowski, and Robin Panzer, and Ryan Elliott watching on as the Powered by RSR cars do battle. 17th is Yanis Wolburn, then it's Fabian Schitzik, Jukka-Pekka Lalu, and Florian Gaia. Gaia, by the way, in the pit lane by the looks of things, as is David Flydon, so 2 cars missing from the grid. Jason Muscat will be P22, although he'll move up to P20 as a result of that. Moritz Kropp is behind him, and then Terence Grech returns to the championship in P24. Then it's Luke Mitchell and David Wasserman rounding out the grid in terms of the drivers who are actually starting from the grid. In terms of tyres as well, the top 10 of course are obliged to start on the tyres that they qualified on, so they will all be starting on the soft compound tyre. And according to RaceView, Sixter and Fournier will be starting on the medium tyres. You can see it's just updated it as well, so you've got Wok and Schluter also on the mediums. Stepkowski starting on softs, interestingly, and then the top driver on hard tyres will be Robin Panzer in the Adonis car. And yes, it looks like Moritz Kropp's in the pits as well, so we're going to have 3 cars starting from pit lane for this one. Maybe considering there might be some opening lap chaos, but even so, I'd still start from the grid just in case. And don't be confused by Tom Stevens there on hard tyres. That was just
That's
a
changed
glitch.
back now, Caitlin.
Changed back to soft tyres, yes.
Late decision from Moritz, though, to back out. If it was a decision and not just the disconnection and him hurriedly trying to get back into the game and come out of the garage in time. Yeah, worrying times for Mode, Stax and Pescara ADG with those 3 cars off the grid. But that means free places for David Wasserman, who didn't set a lap in qualifying, of course. He will essentially start this race in 23rd.
So here he is, rounding out the grid in the Stax racing car. Ahead, of course, of his teammate David Feidock, who will be in the pit lane. 71 laps of racing coming up here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Paz. The grid slightly angled uphill, which is always an interesting one. And you see the 5 red lights coming on, and when the extinguish will be underway for the final time. Rolls backwards slightly, does Jake Dennehan, but he gets away, and he will lead the race into the first corner. Crankfist holds off Stefan Rolt for second place, but Rolt now has the inside line, but isn't able to get the traction. There we're looking at one of the red Archer cars, and further back, that would be Matthias Moos in 6th position as they fan out, and there's cars on the grass, and there's a dive from Luke Maguire, who has to back out of that one. That looked like Tom Stevens, actually, my apologies. Williams has been shuffled back a couple of positions, so it's Stevens up to and Maguire up to 5th. There's Owen McGorky, and they're going to touch wheels, and McGorky runs wide. Almost got locked up completely with Matthew Williams there, and they're going to go side by side again up towards Vico de Pato, and hopefully they get through this one a little bit cleaner. Stevens 3rd place, Van Roel. So the THR driver on a charge in the early part of the race. Tom Stevens up to 3rd position, and now it will be Slipstream Central up the hill towards turn 1 for the start of the 2nd lap of the race here.
Yeah, it seems that you put a little bit of a curse on Matt Williams because he didn't exactly have the first lap of dreams there. But Owen McGorgy unfortunately getting through, as here comes Adam Maguire attacking Stefan Ruelt for 4th position, gets very physical into the center S at turn 1. Maguire's going to have the inside through Curva de Sol at turn 3, and nothing Ruelt could do to keep him at bay. And now it looks like McGorgy wants a piece of the action here in the battle for 4th here.
And he's taking a look, Stefan Ruelt on Adam Maguire, or McGorky just behind him there. McGorky, the Superleague Champion this year. We see the winners and losers from the first lap. David Wasserman gaining numerous places, having passed Luke Mitchell. Race, and of course gaining places. Drivers starting in the pits. Bogara, of course, losing 6 places, starting in the pit lane. Fabio Sixter appears to have had a dog of a start in his own right. Here's Terence Grech here, racing for Adonis Engineering. He's side by side now with Moritz Kropp. Kropp goes through on the inside line. And we complete yet another lap of racing, and this is an important part because we're now on lap 3, so DRS will be available from the next DRS zone. We're on board with Jan Grankvist, who is gaining on the leader. He's going to take a look, not quite. He was very close to Jake Dennehan. Could have taken a look. They would not have been on the ideal line going through these sweepers. So bides his time, waits for the DRS zone. Tom Stevens sets the first fastest lap of the race, although there's plenty of time for that. And down towards turn 4 we go. So Jan Grankvist right under the rear wing of Jake Dennehan, who looked to be getting away on the first lap of the race, but the field closed straight back up again on that 2nd lap. And now we have a fight on our hand as Grankvist will slipstream once again. Goodness, wide open curb. I believe that curb is counted as part of the race surface, so they're absolutely within their rights to do that. And yeah, Grankvist will be even closer to Dennehan this time.
Yes, he will. The problem for Jan Grankvist is he's giving a beautiful tow to Tom Stevens down the main straight. The slipstream is really, really powerful here, especially with the DRS. So again, you saw Dennehan was just saved at the very, very end of the straight. I think more because he braked a bit later than Grankvist, and Grankvist decided it would have been too risky a move. But he's going to have another go here as they start lap 4 then, and Dennehan has to have his wits about him. Here comes the Super Venture. He gets very, very close, but again has to back off in the braking zone. as we cut to Ruben Machete, who's made his way up to 10th just behind Mateus Moose. And he's got Jeffrey Fournier in the Epic Racing guys had a good start. It's starting to give him some trouble here.
Yeah, I'm afraid Daniel Stepkowski lost a couple of seconds on that last lap. He seems to have run wide and dropped behind his teammate Tomasz Bock. Or maybe that was a swap in positions, because of course they are teammates. And also on different tyre contracts, so yeah, that would actually make a lot of sense. I was just a bit surprised that he'd lost so much time seemingly out of nowhere, but yeah, that would make a lot of sense. So the race continues now. All 26 drivers still running. That was a very clean start, especially by the Brazilian Grand Prix standards. This one is often quite a difficult one, as 26 drivers pile into what is quite a narrow chicane. Up through the final few corners of this particular lap we go, towards another one. They seem to go by so quickly here at Brazil, simply because they do go by very quickly. Grankvist once again with the slipstream, with the DRS, gets closer and closer, and this time will go past Jake Dennehan in a straight line. He gets up the inside, and Jan Grankvist, as he has done so many times this season, leads the Grand Prix, but this time, can he convert it, Ed?
Yeah, he got the overspeed there. It's going to be tricky, though, because I think Dennehan is really just going to stay right on his coattails for the rest of this lap. So it's so crucial now for Jan to break away just those few temps he needs to make sure he's not going to be cut underneath by that edge car into turn one and have the exact same reverse scenario happen to him. And Tom Stevens, he'll be watching this, licking his lips, because he knows now if he can get in front of Jake Dennehan, they've got a chance, THR, of snatching back that team's championship.
Tom Stevens here, one of the best starters of the grid, in third position. Just noticed he's got is that a wasp on his helmet? I wonder what that's all about. To ask him about that later. But yeah, third place in the race so far. He'll be getting a healthy dose of slipstream up the straight as well. DRS wide open. This is the stage of the race where everyone seems to have the DRS. In fact, as they're about to cross the line once again. Oh, and here comes Owen McGorgy, right on the tail of Stefan Ruhl, seeming to stay behind in the train. In fact, the first car who does not have DRS from the leaders appears to be, my goodness, Jukka-Pekka Lalu back in 19th position. So we have an 18-car DRS train at this point in time. And that shows you just how close the field is, even after 6 laps of racing. These cars you absolutely can follow. And they're demonstrating that with an absolutely beautiful procession of vehicles. Through the Pico de Pato they go once again, through Ferragiro I should say, and Owen McGorgy is running in 6th position in this race, but right up onto the back of Stefan Ruhl that last time around, although didn't appear particularly eager to go for the move. I think he knows that at this point in the race, it's very likely that your opponent will just slipstream their way straight back through again, and it's a real risk versus reward thing. Across the start-finish line, we're going to go once again with Dennehan 4/10 of a second behind Jan Grankvist. Down towards turn 1 they go. You can often start to set up a move down towards turn 4 here. If you get it right, the opponent doesn't quite. That rhyme, very nice. And this time around they won't quite be close enough, but that's definitely a possibility to consider for later on in the race when moves become even more crucial.
Yeah, and look at Dennehan, he's a 10th quicker in the first sector this lap and the previous lap, and that's purely because he's getting towed along on the run down the Retro-Aposta towards turn 4, whereas Grankvist doesn't have that same benefit of slipstream or DRS at any point. As here comes Terence Gregg around the outside then for 25th position. That's on Luke Mitchell, of course, in the Pescara ADG. And now he's got Florian Geyer in the mode car next up for Terence, but he had to get really aggressive there. Luke Mitchell, of course, was on the inside off the racing line, so Greg just had to hold it around the outside there, and he had the grip to make that corner.
Indeed, back up towards the line we go once again. It's almost like the Indy 500, drivers slipstreaming each other the whole way, and the laps just going past quicker than you can blink. I think I saw 2 cars side by side in the background, so that would be for like 9th or 10th place, or around about there. Matthew Williams there, all over the back of Owen McGorgy, could well have been those two, who were right together up towards the line, separated by less than 0.2 of a second as they crossed it. The leaders separated by 0.36 of a second, and up towards Ferragura once again they go. Fastest lap, remember, will also count for something in this race. Fastest lap so far still held by Tom Stevens on, I think, only the second lap of the race. And yes, indeed it was. So no one quite able to match that just yet, but plenty of time still to go. Will probably be towards the end of the race that the fastest lap is really contested for, with drivers going on to the softer compounds of tyres and potentially having lower fuel, and of course also potentially being taken out of the action in incidents that may take place. And here now comes Jake Dennehan, even closer than he was a lap ago to the back of Jan Grafist, and he probably could have had a look there, so decided not to for whatever reason. Maybe he's trying to set it up down into turn 4. Maybe once again it was that risk versus reward thing that I was talking about. No one seems entirely, I mean, no one seems desperate yet by any means, but I guess they don't really need to be, because the chances of breaking away from the slipstream point in the race are relatively low. And it really is a bit like an IndyCar race or a NASCAR race, where being in the lead is not necessarily the most important thing. He also, as Florian Guy there, runs wide and has potentially had an incident of some sort. Here's a replay. I think he was running without a front wing, wasn't he? Well, we're about to see a replay. Down into turn 1 he goes. Seems to be a little slow through there. Has a big twitch and yeah, just rather sheepishly returns to the circuit. He's still not at full pace, look, so something definitely wrong with Florian Guyers, or Florian Guyers, something on his end by any means. Here's Jake Dennehan again. Does he go for the lead this time around? Still no, and again I think he could have had a chance. I think if he'd wanted to take a look, he could have got himself at least alongside Jan Grafist down into turn 1. I'm talking of alongside, Matthew Williams is right up the inside of Owen McGorgy, finds the tricky bit of the curb, and once again goes side by side with down the wire, looking to make up positions behind. I have a feeling the THR cars will be a little desperate today. And the battle still continues here, up the straight, and Matthew Williams gets through to 6th position. That is why persistence pays off there, and we're going to see a replay of what we just saw.
Yeah, so Williams gets close enough, decides to go for the inside into the center S, and they've got right ahead of them. There's a little bit of wheel rubbing, but nothing too controversial here. And then look at this. So Williams is on the inside here, and look at Rigorgi defending ahead of him. He sweeps immediately to the middle of the road there. So Williams has got just about a car width to work with. Into turn 4 he goes, and he's a little bit offline, but he's just about able to muscle his way through, keep the line through turn 5. And Owen here realizes the game is up and concedes position there. Fabulous driving between the two.
Back to real time we go, and Dennehan takes the lead. As we were looking at that battle, Dennehan was slipstreaming Jan Grangfist, and he's up into the lead of the race, as behind him, Ruhl, Stepkowski and Machete all pit. So quite early, but we do tend to see that from drivers starting on the soft compound tyres these days. The hards definitely seem to be the ones to go on to the majority of the race with. But Jake Dennehan is back through to the lead of the race now, having sprint his way past Jan Grangfist, and you could tell he was just waiting for his opportunity, waiting for the moment when he could go through without risking too much, without risking a collision. It almost looked like a cat playing with his prey, and now he's back in front. But you have to remember, it looked like the exact same thing but the other way round a few minutes ago, so who's to say that Grangfist can't stick with him and go back through again. Dennehan has gained quite a bit on this lap actually, so maybe he did catch Jan a little off guard.
Maybe he's about to pit just like his teammate did, because Ruhl is definitely going for the undercut on the hards. No, he's going to stay out then, but it looks like Tom Stevens is coming in.
Right, so if the undercut is powerful, then Tom Stevens will show us that. And into the pits as well comes Owen McGorgy from 6th or 7th place in the race. And there's a fight.
Schluter on Fournier.
Fournier and Mark Schluter, a little bit of wheel rubbing. You often see that at that corner, to be honest. It's surprising that it didn't open the race, but there's a storied history of cars going for a spin there after being tagged by other vehicles. Now, where does Stevens come out in relation to Stefan Rohr? Here's Rohr running P21, running over the inside of the curb a bit. He'll have a better run, as Stevens is in front. Now, he was in front already, so do we reckon he gained time, lost time, or kept it rather neutral? I reckon it's going to be rather neutral when it's out with the momentum and all that. So maybe one lap doesn't make too much of a difference. Now, here's a replay. This is Fournier on Schluter, maybe slightly later in the lap. Fournier's gone for a dive. Oh, and Schluter forced out over the grass. Not quite Hamilton and Verstappen 2021 style, but still flies over the grass on his way back to the circuit. And Robin Panzer held out to dry by Mark Schluter, as well as Denahan is in the pits. And all of them are coming in. Look at that! So Denahan, Grankvist, Maguire, Williams and Luke Maguire. So 5 of the leaders all in at the same time. Matthias Moos will lead the race, so he gives Red Archer an official lap lead, I believe. One of the drivers at the pits crossed the line before him. And Jeffrey Fournier is just behind him. But yeah, all of them came in at pretty much exactly the same time. And as a result, they emerged from the pits. And here comes Tom Stevens. He's in the slipstream. Stevens is approaching the tail. They're 3 wide in the background. And Denahan has just covered off Tom Stevens, who has jumped Jan Grankvist. And look, Stefan Rohr has jumped Grankvist as well. So Denahan will be the net leader, followed by Stevens. And then Rohr and Grankvist will be net 3rd and 4th. So Grankvist position for that. And here's a replay of Luke Mitchell in a little race with...
this is Gaia, isn't it? Oh, no.
And Mitchell loses control, and it's a huge crash heavily into the barriers. He will be the first retirement from the race. Now we see the onboard from Stefan Rohr. God, get out of the way. There's cars coming out of the pits, racing here, and through the middle, and he goes up into provisional, or net rather, 3rd position. A very brave move from Stefan Rohr. He knew he had to make it then, and went right up the middle of 2 cars. Into the pits come Moos and Fournier, so Thomas Bock will win the race for Fabio Sixter. Grankvist is up the inside of Rohr and gains the position back again. So Grankvist back through as they approach Tom Stevens and Jake Denahan. And we've got drivers right down the back of the grid who should be much higher up at this point as a result of the early pit stops. They're going to have to fight their way through traffic. Wyatt seems to lose quite a lot of time into that because yes, he's back there because of his pit stops. But you have to keep in mind that Denahan, Stevens, Grankvist, they're 12, 13, 14. Wyatt, for some reason, is 25th. So he's actually been jumped by the likes of Stepkovsky, Machete, and various other drivers as well. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened to Luke Maguire.
I think
there.
It was during the pit stop because I saw Matthew Williams was struggling to get into the pit box, and there was someone ahead of him. I think it might have been Adam Maguire there. So the 2 were disputing the same pit box, and it doesn't look like it worked out for either of them. Yeah.
That's a bizarre one, so we'll have to have a look at that or ask him about it later on. There's Terence Grech now, being passed. Sixter, Schluter and Wasserman are in the pits, so Walk leads by a second over Panzer. And Adam Maguire sets the provisional fastest lap of the race, and there is Tom. Look at Jake Denahan. This is the most important fight in the field right now. It may not be for the lead, but it will probably end up being for the lead. And he goes through on the inside. Tom Stevens from 6th on the grid. Oh, but he slid wide a little. He didn't quite make the exit or the entrance of the corner as well as he would have liked, but he's made the move nonetheless. Tom Stevens is through into 9th position and probably net 1st position in this race. And we're going to see a replay.
I think for Grankvist as well, because the more these 2 fight, the better it is for him.
And he missed his box. That's what happened to Luke Maguire. He missed his box and he had to reverse, and that has cost him several positions in this race. It cost him 10 positions on the road. I think in the net order, more like 5 or 6. But the worst time to have that happen is in your first pit stop when that's early in the race, because you lose position as well. In comes Tomasz Bock, so Panzer will lead the race by 6 over Volburn. And yes, that's what happened to Luke Maguire.
Yeah, very, very unlucky there. And now Stevens goes around the outside of, is that Moritz Kropp he's just got through, and Denahan is held up by him. So even more good news for Jan Grankvist then, as Denhan finally deals with Moritz Krupp on the outside at Curva de Sol and then weaves in front of him. He's really not happy.
Indeed, and through goes Grangfist as well, so Denahan showing his disapproval to Moritz Krupp, but you have to keep in mind that Krupp had every right to be there. He wasn't weaving on the straight as much as we saw or anything like that. He was just fighting for position, and sure, according to Jake, you know, he should have moved out of the way, but he really had no incentive to do so. Now, Moritz Krupp has just been passed by Adam Maguire as well, so that puts Maguire back in that particular fight. Maguire's come out ahead of Stefan Rohr, hasn't he? So that's another, I think, change of the order in the net order, but it's getting quite difficult to keep track of with the pit stops and drivers yet to pit. Up the start-finish straight, or up towards the start-finish straight they go again. This left-hand here, I think officially counts as about 3 corners, although realistically it's treated as 1, if that. And Stefan Rohr goes through on the inside, nicely done, importantly done as well. And that means that every driver on track, with the exception of Flo Gaia, are now on hard tyres. Those two who I just mentioned on medium tyres. Muscat leaving it out quite late on those old mediums. Denahan fighting his way through. Was that a little touch I saw on the straight there? It's interesting. You don't normally see that between drivers on different strategies. Although Denahan had a big opportunistic move from Jan Grangfist. That was very well done as well. He'll have to hold it on the outside. Denahan may have got flashbacks of Suzuka there, where he came across some fighting cars who were on the same lap as him, but yet to stop, and they came together, and Denahan ended up flying through the grass as a result of that, losing several positions. Almost ended up costing him even more, because I was amazed he kept it out of the barriers. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that you always fear as a driver. Walburn is in the pits now, so Pansar leads by 2 seconds over Shiertzik. 3 wide. Oh! And a huge crash! Jason Muscat is flipping and flying, and that is the end of his race in a big way. Goodness me. I hope that wasn't a lag spike, but unfortunately that is the end of Jason Muscat's time with Red Archer in quite tragic circumstances. Now here's a replay. That's Florian Gaia there running wide, but what just happened? And I'm trying to work out who else was involved in that as well, because other drivers. Is everything okay with the? Wasn't it? Was it Royal?
Yeah, I think it was, and it was sort of Royal McGorgy sort of territory, wasn't it? But we're still looking at Florian Gaia, and I think this is from the very beginning of the race, so it's not really particularly helpful, unfortunately. But yeah.
Oh, here we go. So Muscat slipstreaming Royal. Krupp's coming from behind. I'm half expecting to see a lag spike here. We go 3 wide. And there's the touch. Oh my goodness. And a huge blowover crash for Jason Muscat. Moritz Krupp also involved. And goodness me, that is very unfortunate for Jason Muscat. I'm going to have a look quickly back at that replay on the Brookhouse machine. So I wasn't really paying attention to what actually happened in that one there. As we watch Moritz
well, it's
Krupp
always
now.
good for a commentator to do that, Caitlin.
Yeah, and so Krupp went for a gap, and then the gap just closed. But it wasn't really that Krupp was going for a silly move. There was definitely a gap there, and then the 2 drivers on his outside just kind of moved in. That's a very unfortunate one.
It was always a bit risky for Moritz, though, and I think he was another one who'd stayed out on the hards, hadn't he? So it was always going to be tricky for him to get through. And here we go. That looks like, is that Matt Williams making a move on Reuven Machete? Indeed it is, and Reuven holds it through the infield section through Pinjarino, and now up towards Pico de Pato. Again, Williams has to scroll around in the rear wing of the Nocturne car here, and it's just holding him up even further. So Matt Williams, your pick to win, Caitlin. He's really not having a fun time there down in 13th.
No, he's not got through the traffic as quickly as he would have liked, has he? Into the pits now, Shiertzik and Lalu. Of course, the advantage of being on a simulator is that when crashes like that happen, you don't have to bring out a red flag or a safety car or anything like that. You can just keep going, because that car can teleport its way back to the pits, and you know, wouldn't you know, the track is nice and clean again. It does keep the racing rather pure because it means you don't have any neutralizations or well-timed red flags. Instead, you end up with the fairest mood of racing and the best driver winning usually. Now, the gap between Panzer and Stevens is 4 seconds. I think Panzer is going to pit, so he shouldn't get too involved in this lead battle. Denahan will be hoping that Panzer stays out for as long as humanly possible. And then, of course, it's Stevens, Denahan, Grangfist, and Maguire. Frelik also yet to stop, having his movement out there in P6.
Quite telling that the hards can only do about 20 laps, Kate.
Yeah, that's very true, isn't it?
So you would have thought they'd been able to go longer, but at 47-degree track temperature, so clearly they're not operating at their best. Panzer's last lap time 1:12.5, Stevens in the 1:11.5s, Denahan 1:11.2. That really shows you how much he's struggling. A second slower. Yeah, it's going to be 3 stops because if you think about it, you have 3 stints on hards, so that's 20 laps each pretty much, and then 1 stint on mediums, which you can do like 11 laps maybe, or if you can extend it. There is a potential for a 2-stop, of course, if you can do a really long stint on hards, and that does become easier later on in the race, because first of all, the incentive to go to the finish, and secondly, because of the lower fuel. But realistically, I think we're going to be seeing 3 stops from most of these drivers around. And the only ones who have a bit of a question mark over that right now are Panzer and Frelik. Up towards the line we go once again. Looks like Frelik pitted that last time around, so he is down in 22nd position now. And Panzer's in, so Stevens will lead the race by just under 0.4 of a second from Jake Denahan. The top 3 cross the line separated by less than, in fact the top 4 separated by less than 2 seconds. And Williams now around the outside of Machete. Machete getting the run. Machete maintains the position. We're on board with Matthew Williams. They both have DRS due to Owen McGorky's car up in front. Takes a look to the outside. Now this would be a bit bold if he was to make that. He's always going to get run out of road, but has a look anyway, just in case. And of course McGorky himself has DRS from Stefan Roll as well. That's the difficulty of this race. It's been one long DRS train so far, with no signs of breaking up. The top 4 seem to be getting away together though. They have about a 6-second gap over Stefan Roll. So that incident with Muscat and Krop may have cost Roll the DRS and cost him a little more at that. I don't think he does too much damage or anything along those lines. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for Jason Muscat. And Denahan right to the back of Tom Stevens. This is just like what we saw with him and Grangfist earlier on, isn't it? He is just right. Yeah, maybe not trying to stress the tyres too much, but keep in mind as well that Tom Stevens pit a lap earlier than Denahan, but Roll pit, it's going to be 13 laps ago now, so 3 or 4 laps earlier than a lot of the people around him, so no wonder he's under so much pressure from McGorgy, Machete and Williams behind him. So we're basically getting 2 groups here. The lead group, which is the top 4, Stevens, Denahan, Grangfist and Maguire, and then all the cars behind Rolt. So that's McGorgy, Machete, Williams, potentially Fournier and Stupkowski as well.
I just found something rather interesting. So when I've been remembering to concentrate, I've been trying to look up whether this is Terence Greff's first GPWC Super League race. He's been around for a really long time, but I don't remember ever seeing him racing in Super League before. He made his debut in GPWC in 2012, so he's definitely an experienced driver. That was Formula Sprint 1 he did on the day. But this is actually only his 2nd Super League race. He did 1 race back in 2015, racing for Woods Racing. That was in 2015 at the Italian Grand Prix, where he finished 21st place. So after 8 years, he's decided to give it a racing for Adonis this time. And yeah, I just can't quite believe he's gone this long without launching a full Super League attempt. But anyway, welcome back, Terence. Now, we're looking
not sure what's happening here, because it says that Denahan went a whole second slower than Stevens and Grankvist in the final sector there. So is he backing off that much? It's just race view messing up. Never mind. Okay, I'm just seeing things. So quite literally. But anyway, Stevens is managing this really, really well at the moment. But you sense that Dennehan, Grankvist on slightly fresher tyres are going to attack before this stint's out. And don't forget about Adam Maguire too. He'll be desperate to end the season on a win, having not won since Australia earlier this season.
Yep. Fair enough. Up the hill again. Jake Dennehan slipstreaming Tom Stevens, as he has been ever since Stevens got in front. And all of these laps where he's sitting behind, it keeps seeming to me as if he could get alongside the car in front if he wanted to. There seems to be a real game of cat and mouse amongst anyone who's leading the race, whether it's Stevens, Dennehan or Grankvist. And it seems that your time in the lead is very much thin, as Luke Maguire there gets past Daniel Stepkowski. If the race was to finish like this, then Edge Esports would undoubtedly be the Constructors' Champions. There wouldn't be much in it, but with Luke Maguire down in 10th position, they would be losing crucial points. Tom Stevens is doing all that he can to carry the team up in first place there. Not that Luke's doing a bad job, and I think he will gain some more positions by the end of the race, but they need even more than that with an opponent as strong as Edge Esports, who are running 2nd and 5th in the race as it stands. We're on lap, well, we're about to go on to lap 26, so not quite halfway through the race, but we're getting closer and closer to that point. And the gap that time around was 0.378 between the top two. Basically what it has been the last few laps, except very similar lap times. And a change coming in there. Magorgi has actually passed Royal. So Magorgi. Oh, and Royal. Oh, he's on the grass. Stefan Royal is losing control, and he's lost many positions. Look at that, car's flying past it straight. That's what happens when you lose control in a field this closely packed. He's down to 13th. Remember, he was 5th position before this, so he's lost 8 positions without even going for a full rotation. Now let's see what happened. Well, here's Owen Magorgi. First of all, I don't think there was contact between the two of them. I think Royal may have just been a bit distracted, caught off guard.
Yeah, it was just on the curb on his own, wasn't it?
He's dropped behind Owen Magorgi, going to go through turn 2, and the car just breaks away. But it was after he touched the curb, so I'm not entirely sure what caused him to lose control.
Was it the inside curb that caused that, I think, maybe?
But it was after he touched the inside curb too. He seems to be controlling it.
Yeah. 16 lap old tyres as well, so he was really struggling compared to the people around him, and it was just a bit too much. So now all of a sudden THR are back in the box seats with one fell swoop, so all the pressure is on not just on Rilt to regain all those places, and he's losing more actually because he's just come into the pit lane, unsurprisingly, for a fresh set of tyres. But now Dennehan, it's even more important for him to take the win here.
Now Rilt's definitely on for a 3-stop strategy if he's lucky, because he was one of the first drivers to pit in the first pit window as well. But yeah, that is not what the doctor ordered. And that of course means that we're going to have to do some arithmetic on the fly as well to determine who is going to be the Constructors' Champion at the end of this. And of course, even when we do declare it, it will only be an unofficial result. Not that I expect a penalty to come anyone's way, but you never know. Ah, we've got the live standings, very good. So we've got that to do it for us. Now that's not entirely representative, because with Royal's pit stop, he is losing out that he will most likely get at the end of this race.
Dennehan a lot closer, Caitlin.
Yeah, and he's going for it. Look, Jake Dennehan, and once again they swap positions. So Dennehan goes back of the race, takes 5 points out of the
Oh, look at that exit!
And also they're equal on the live standings now. But anyway, and Tom Stevens approaching him again on the exit of the corner, goes back to the outside line and turns in. Dennehan with a little 4-wheel drift on the entrance. Thrilling stuff. And he maintains his lead. Amazing driving from Jake Dennehan to get straight back through to the lead of the race. And they both run wide, but Dennehan has it over Stevens, with Grankvist and Maguire still right behind them in 3rd and 4th. These leaders cannot be separated And as I said, when this happened between between Denahan and Grankvist, who's to say that they're not going to swap straight back if Stevens can keep up with Jake?
Look at the gap that Jake has built up already. Stevens is starting to fall into the clutches of Jan Grankvist. Only a lap's difference in tyre life on those hards, but it's really showing at this point. And Stevens has really got to stay out just a few extra laps to try and make the strategy work. But Grankvist knows that Denahan is going to try and get away here, and he wants to clear Stevens as soon as possible to stop that from happening.
Absolutely thrilling stuff here at GPVWC Super. Lead has changed hands so many times, not just through the pit stop stages, through the windows, but also in the actual order as well. Maguire, that is Luke, Sheddy swapping places as they pass the start-finish line that time around. Looks like Luke is ahead of Ruben as it stands. We're going to see a replay of Thomas Schlock, who's just been into the pits actually, so hopefully this isn't related, but I have to fear that it will be, seeing as he's spinning. And around, and he clonks his rear wing off into the barriers. Luckily that's happened right towards the end of the race. Did he accidentally select reverse? Because we saw that happen in Japan with Williams, didn't we? Where Williams just clonked it into reverse and the car went for a massive spin. But yeah, that would definitely explain some things, especially how he wasn't. There we go. From 6th gear straight to reverse, and then wasn't able to stop it before the barriers. That would absolutely explain what caused that collision there. And I expect that's probably a result, as Maguire, took a look at Grankvist. But yeah, I expect that's probably a result of the double click shift, where you go down into both shifters at the same time. Now here we go with Maguire, getting a much better exit than Grankvist. He goes up to the inside line, and through he goes now into 3rd position. So Adam Maguire making up a place, and he is on the back of Tom Stevens at the plate. And this is Maguire's fight with Owen McGorgy, and I can tell you that as we're watching, they are side by side once again. It looks as if Maguire is still ahead of Owen McGorgy, but I just saw their positions change. So Luke Maguire still up in 5th position. I think we're about to see a replay of McGorgy getting back
this
again.
This was DRS for McGorgy, wasn't it?
Before they swap again. There you go, on the outside.
Briefly ahead on the outside, but it wasn't to last.
So that's why I saw their positions swap and then swap back again almost instantly. So up again we go, and Tom Stevens is into the pits, and he's followed by Maguire. So it's not quite the train of 4 cars that we saw earlier on. But this provides us with an interesting situation where you've got 2 different trains of thought, potentially. 2 different laps to consider. And also into the pits is Luke Maguire, so both the THRs hoping to double stack. Luke has already struggled in the pits as much as he would ever like to. And this is
look at Matt Williams, he's back ahead of Owen.
This is the fight that's a fight that's been going on for a while, hasn't it? McGorgy back to the outside, sweep straight back through again.
Yeah, considering how far back Williams was after his first stop, he's done really well to fight back here against Owen McGorgy. But has to back out from thinking of going for the inside at Ferradura as Stevens now comes out in the middle of traffic. And is that Lalu who's alongside? Yep. So Lalu's going to help his teammate here, hold him up on the inside at Ferradura and then to Laringina.
Around the outside he goes, nicely done there. Providing the curve does count as the racing surface, which I think it does. Tom Stevens has gone past Jukka-Pekka Lalu, but that will cost him time. Through as well goes Adam Maguire, a little quicker as well. And I wouldn't be surprised, and Jake Denahan and Jan Grankvist have both stayed out on this lap. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see them maintain their lead when they do stop, but I was expecting them to pit this time around. That's McGorgy, Williams and Fournier that you just saw in the pits. Panzer and Sixter going side by side down the start-finish straight, both running probably inside the net top 10 in this order. David Fidot making up positions now. He is one of the drivers most likely to attempt a 2-stop in this race. But yeah, Denahan leads this race by... Oh, I tell you what, the gap over the line was 1 second, so Grankvist is in danger of losing the race. He would actually not be too averse to someone else coming out between those two, right? But he's now back within a second of Jake Dennehan up in front. Here's Stefan Rohr, who has pitted not too long ago as well. Pitted at the start of this pit window, of course. Dennehan is in. Grankvist stays out, so Grankvist will be on his own for a while. And Stevens yet again is held up. This time it's Auburn who's involved. Up the straight we go, and they'll be getting the advantage of DRS and slipstream here. And they should go through on the straight. Keep it clean, guys. There we go. Tom through on the outside. And now, crucially, we're going to see where they come out in relation to Jake Dennehan. Oh, they might jump him here. Look at that. Dennehan is only on pit exit. He'll have the inside line, but Tom Stevens has gone through. So Stevens leads the race. And yes, and Maguire goes through as well. So that's not worked out anywhere near as well as Dennehan would have expected. I think that shows you that the undercut is effective despite the traffic. As slightly wide goes Maguire, but he does manage to get up the inside of Janis Vorburn and go through. And then Vorburn almost dives out the way for Dennehan, properly intimidated off the line. So Grankvist leads by 14 seconds, considering he is yet to make his stop, and will do this lap. And if the undercut really is as competitive as we just saw, he will come out easily in 4th place. But oh, and around goes Daniel Stepkowski. Oh, for a second there, I thought that was one of the leaders, like Maguire or someone like that. But still unfortunate for Stepkowski. And he rejoins the race. Here's Maguire down the straight with slipstream from Stevens. Fabio Sixter also into the pit. Here are the leaders, and Boos. Grankvist exits the pits, and yes, look at that. So Stevens, Maguire and Dennehan will easily be ahead. Grankvist will be lucky to stay within DRS here. He might lose out to Vorburn.
No, he won't. And he's got his teammate right behind him anyway now.
Yeah,
so Lalu helping him out and disposing of Janis Vorburn in the HRT. But the thing is, Grankvist has now got the freshest tyres of the top 4. So Adam Maguire and Tom Stevens going for the undercuts. We see Stepkowski going too wide on the exit turn. Oh, did he get tapped in the rear by the green stripes? Was that Schluter who hit him?
Yeah, I think. Schiertzik. Oh, it might have been Schiertzik, yeah. Schiertzik, sorry, Lalu.
It was Mark. I was right the first time.
There we go, okay. And, whoa! Well, that wasn't going to work in a month of Thursdays.
I don't think he expected him to be that slow coming into that corner there.
No, that was a bizarre one. Two extremely different lines converging in one rather grinding halt. And now look at Jake Dennehan. Whoa! Maguire moving over very late, but Dennehan makes the move. Well, he's still there, and Maguire maintains the position. That was very brave stuff. Very late in the corner. And Stevens ran slightly wide there on the exit turn 3 as well. But look at that. Wheel bang again. Sparking wheels behind, like Senna and Prost, or Senna and Mansell.
Oh!
Over the grass.
All the way through turn 5, Caitlin.
Over the grass. Dennehan still on the inside. They are not giving up. Neither of these drivers have anything to lose. Dennehan forward into a dive, and Dennehan maintains the position. I thought Maguire was going to go straight back through inside there. We're going to see a replay of that, and no doubt about it, we're going to enjoy this one. With the slipstream, he goes, oh, so late. I don't think he expected Maguire to be quite that aggressive, but, you know, this is racing, and these are two very aggressive racers. Maguire has caught the ire of some people recently with his overtaking, but I have to say his defence here has been exemplary. And as they rub wheel, well, I don't know about that. That was a little rough.
Kind of
They're still locking wheels. Look at that.
Yeah, Dennehan did not back out at all, so he gave as good as he got from Adam Maguire there. And I think Adam Maguire may be a little bit fed up of being second banana in terms of the battle of the Irishman, the Jake Dennehan this season. Banana, not very Irish fruit, but the first one that came to mind.
Yeah.
But there we go, and now it's just Tom Stevens that separates Dennehan from first, and now Dennehan has got a 2-lap fresher tyres, but look at Grankvist, he's closing on all of them.
Second spud, that'll do. David Feidock losing out there to Jeffrey Fournier, down into 14th position, but remember, Feidock's main goal is to stay out as long as he can feasibly do so. Jan Grankvist, by the way, fastest lap that last time round. He is right back in DRS range of Stevens, Denahan and Maguire, so that battle will pick up where it left off from. And to be honest, we've seen this in the past. Grankvist is extremely good when he gets the fresh tyres later on in the stint. And was that Maguire making a mistake? Yes, it was. So Maguire ran wide through that corner, and Grankvist has got through now. So that's a change of position, and I don't think
it's significantly easier for Jan than for Jake there.
And Stevens has got past Moose, so he's got a car now between himself and Jake once again. Jake will go through on the exit, but they both have DRS, so Moose will not make it easy in the one remaining Red Archer car.
It does actually, because those hard tyres are 23 laps old on that Red Archer, aren't they? So they're absolutely finished. He's got nothing to defend with. Panzer on 21 lap old tyres. So he's in a similar position too. But this is what happened to Adam Maguire. Then went a little bit too wide, broke on the AstroTurf, just about saved it, but up the inside goes a very, very grateful Jan Grankvist, who is still chasing that first win of the year. It could still happen, Kate.
I think it might have been a double downshift actually, because I saw him in third for don't go to third at that part of the corner. So I have a feeling, I mean, you do go to third, I guess, but I don't think he went to fourth first. I think he went straight to third. And so the Reds would have kicked in, the car would have kicked out. As in the background, Grankvist and Maguire attempt to follow them through, although they would have lost the DRS once again from Stevens and Denahan up ahead. Through they go there, or at least through goes Grankvist. Like I was saying before, Grankvist really pushes in the late stages of the race. It seems to come alive as the race goes on. Fabian Schiertzig pits. Gorky goes side by side with Luke Maguire. We're past the halfway stage in now, only just, but we are. And it's at this point in time where, oh dear, where the mistakes start to happen. There's a collision between McGorky and Maguire, and round the outside, gain a place. And that is another big hit in the THR title challenge. Could have been worse, he could have gone all the way around. Gonna have a look back at that. Here we are on board with Luke Maguire. You've got the car coming through on the inside of McGorky, and there's the contact.
Looked from the onboard like he turned in on McGorgy, I have to say, but I think that can be a little bit deceptive. So Owen goes for the inside. He knows he's there. Owen tries to go in for the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's almost like he just reappears on the outside there. So I don't think you can blame Owen too much for that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Owen was aiming
to give back a bit more space.
Yeah. Jukka Pekalalu into the pits. For the reason. Oh, here we go. Oh, and that was very close.
Panzer losing the lead.
Yeah, so Stevens and Denahan have gone through. The reason I was a little shocked about that one is because sometimes if you're trying to overtake someone, you can slightly misjudge your braking and go into the car in front of you, and it looked very close to being that kind of situation there, but Denahan judged it just right and got past Robin Panzer in the process. I completely lost what I was going to say. That is absolutely okay. Oh yeah, no, sorry. The reason I brought up the Apex is because sometimes a defense in that situation, where you're the car on the outside, is that they weren't going to make the corner and they were going to force you off the road or something. But Gorky was absolutely making the corner, so that's just the kind of thing that happens. And Grankvist now is side by side with Panzer, and straight back into that fight again. And Grankvist is still really pushing, I tell you. Every time he sets a lap where he hasn't been held up, he's quicker than the leaders, and he was actually fractionally quicker than the leaders on that last time round as well, so he is not giving up despite some of the setbacks that he's had. Minor setbacks, albeit. Yanis Wolburn in the pits now, so that puts Ruot back into the points, but he could definitely be having a better race than what he's having now. That was a crucial mistake that he made earlier on. The leaders were separated still by less than half a second as they crossed the line that last time around. And what's this going to be a replay of? David Fidot running 14th. Hopefully everything's okay here, but when you see a replay of a driver running lower than 10th, you know something has happened. And there's good save actually. Yeah, well caught. Didn't go all the way around. Didn't lose I mean, he would have lost a lot of time, but I don't think he lost a position or anything.
No, he's actually
lucky he was
8
on his
tenths
own.
behind Sixter in the Epic Racing cars. He's actually caught that time back up very quickly since then. As you see Denahan once more getting to the slipstream, and now he's just starting to move around in the mirrors of Tom
And
Stevens.
Grankvist has passed Maguire. So, sorry, Maguire's passed Panzer. My apologies. I got confused there because I saw the order. But that was in fact Maguire just getting past Robin Panzer.
Yeah, so Adam is really going to hope that he can get another undercut in here to try and get back into the fight for the lead, because I think if he stays out, he's definitely going to re-emerge fourth again. So he's kind of in a difficult position, and it's slowly turning into a 3-horse race here. But in terms of the team's championship, was really Fidok Pitt, and yeah, still got the front wing on. This is a bit deceptive there. Thought it had fallen off. But Luke Maguire, after that incident with McGorgy, still going just behind Machete, who he overtook earlier in the race and will now have to do so again. But luckily for him, Ruot is still down in 14th. Will only get 2 points for that. So that mistake not as punishing for Luke Maguire as it would otherwise be. But it's going to depend on which of Jake Denahan or Tom Stevens finishes ahead. And if Luke Maguire can make progress or hold on to that 9th place or not. And if Stefan Ruot can maybe make up the 6 seconds to Sixter. Yeah, so Ruot with that big error earlier on is just lost so much time, and he's given himself too much work to do, I think, in the final half of this race.
Now, if they were to finish like this, THR would be scoring 32 points and Edge would be scoring 22, so that would give THR the championship by
It's going to be 2 more points for Luke Maguire then, because he's just got through into 8th past Machete.
True, they're on the move, aren't they? So good stuff for THR, and the thing that swung it really was Ruot's mistake earlier on, but it could well swing back the other way. Jake Denahan, if he was to take the lead from Tom Stevens, that would be a 10-point swing, because it would be 5 extra points to Edge and 5 fewer points to THR. So this battle could well end up being not just the battle for the race win, but the battle for the team's championship. And what we lack in a drivers' championship, these teams are absolutely making up for today, because it still looks as if it could go down to the wire, just as the drivers' championship looked as if it was going to, right up until the last race. Across the start-finish line we go once again, on to lap 44 of the race, 43, sorry.
Panzer finally coming in, and Moose as well, as we look at Fournier gearing up for a move on Machete. Then he wants to get through into 9th place in the Epic Racing car. Jeff breaks late around the outside, and nothing that Reuven can do to stop that one. And good stuff from Jeffrey Fournier there. And Machete's now going to have to get very defensive against Williams and Schluter then. How long has Machete been on those tyres? I think 13 laps, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes, 13 laps now, so they are a little bit past their best, as we see is that one of the HRTs rejoining the field. Oh, it's a
yeah, always difficult to tell apart, don't worry. Quite an interesting conversation going on between Sad Rufo and Aviation Chad in the YouTube chat. Sad Rufo pointing out that Denahan might be saving push points. Aviation Chad saying that would make sense because he's just cruising in the DRS of Stevens, so no need. And yeah, that is a very good point, because these cars do have push to pass. The only reason we don't bring it up much is because we can't actually see how much they have left, but they have a limited amount per race, and they'll be using that strategically. And if Denahan is able to keep up with Stevens using or without using that push to pass, it makes sense for him to save it, so he can use it in one big push towards the end of the race. Matthew Williams there passes Reuven Machete. He spends off Machete. They're having a little battle over 8th position. Sad Rufo says, so it's all on Ruot's shoulders, the team title, and yes, it does appear to be at this time. Although, like I said, Denahan could give them a big point swing up in front, so there you go. And
look at Grankvist though, for almost 3 attempts quicker than both of them on the previous lap. He's absolutely pushing, so if Denahan is saving battery or maybe even fuel for a late push here, it could make him vulnerable in terms of losing track position to Grankvist. So it is pass or be passed at the moment. and he's got 2 lap fresher tyres, but Grankvist stayed out the extra lap. He's got 3 lap fresher tyres than Tom Stevens. So this is going to be very, very tight then. This is going to be absolutely crucial stint to decide who wins this race.
Fournier slipstreaming Luke Maguire and going through. So that's a spanner in the works there for Luke Maguire. A position lost as Schluter is side by side with Ruben Machete. Schluter up to P9. Oh god, they're challenging me in the YouTube chat now to see if I know their real names. But anyway, as Schluter under attack again down the straight, Ruben Machete back through again the inside line. Or at least it looks as if he was going to be, and it's a very similar collision to what we saw just now. This time they seem to have lost a little bit less, with none of them running wide. Oh, Schluter not happy, you see him wiggling about. And he maintains that 10th position, as we're going to see a replay of that one. Schluter with the slipstream, going side by side with Machete. And of course before it was McGorgy and Maguire who came together in that fashion. And McGorgy getting off slightly better than Maguire on that particular occasion.
And he gets the DRS, crucially, well both of them do, but he gets a better run. You're right, it goes onto the grass. And again, it's like you say, similar situation between McGorgy and Luke Maguire. And the wheels just locked there. Didn't look deliberate at all from Ruben.
So very quickly, just address the chat. Dakhead 2, I know you're Alan's, and so this too, as Williams there chasing Luke Maguire.
Really barging into the side of Luke Maguire.
Aviation Chad, are you Silver Yotta? I really apologise if not. Who's that, sorry?
Apparently. Christus Villa.
Christus Villa, okay. I recognise that name, but I couldn't tell you where from. My apologies.
He is a FS2 and FS1 driver, Villa, because I've seen him in FS1. I commentated on him in FS1 before, and a pretty decent midfield to the driver. Got some good results here and there.
My apologies.
Look at this. Denahan really pushing now. He's upped his pace in this lap. Although he was actually 2 tenths quicker in the first sector, 2 tenths slower in the second sector, and then a tenth quicker in the final sector. So as a result, 111.0, 111.1 for Stevens, and 111.2 for Grankvist. So Jan, his pace is starting to tail off ever so slightly as they're about to lap the back markers here.
And
that must be Thomas Vack ahead of them.
Yeah, look how close Denahan is to Tom Stevens. To be honest, it's surprising they've taken this long to catch up to the back markers. I thought that was going to be something that would come into play much earlier, but I guess these are all equal chassis. And yes, okay, the cars are adapted as
went
the season
really
goes
deep
on.
this time.
Machete with the slipstream, Machete with the run. This is a battle that has continued on for a good few laps. Don't come again, guys. Please don't. Oh, big twitch from Mark Schluter. And they
Mark Schluter was just getting out of the way there. See, the problem here is that Robin Pansar on those fresh tyres is closing on both of them, and Robin is doing the two-stop, of course. So he really can't afford to be held up by these two. They're going to be easy sitting ducks for him. Easy ducks? That doesn't make sense.
Easy ducks. And that was 50-50 there, whether they were going to come together. Look how close Denahan is to Stevens. Once again, this has been the story of the season. And if the championship finishes like this, I think the final results are going to tell the full story, because as Williams now
ahead of Luke.
Yeah, Williams and Luke fighting. Again, another fight that's been going on for laps. And up ahead of them, you've got Fournier and McGorgy. You never know where to look, goodness me.
I think Fournier's past McGorgy, so and now Panzer into the side of Mark Schluter, sorry. Oh, and pushing Panzer off track, and they come together, and into the wall goes Robin
heavily
Panzer.
Into the barriers, both of them off, and into the barriers, and that is a good deal of points down the drain, I'm afraid to say. And
Kowski is going all the way off track at turn 4 behind Machete and
Panzer is out of the race. We're going to see a replay of exactly. I have to admit, I looked away at the wrong time, so I'm
was he lagging as well?
Little bit of a lag spike. Could that be what caused it? No, was that? No, it was just he rejoined into the side of the other car. He'll say that he wasn't really in control at that point and was forced out wide. But we'll have to see what the stewards think of that one. There's the first contact. Bang! They rejoin into the side of each other. and that's a big hit into the wall. So unfortunately, Robin Panzer is out of the race, and I would be surprised if no, Schluter's out of the race too. So sadly, we've had 2 more retirements. There have been some big hits in this race. 4 retirements so far, and all of those rather large accidents, I'm afraid to say.
That's a big shame for Robin, especially because I think he was on for a lot of point scaling before that happened.
Yeah, and with the 2-stop strategy, who knows what that really is a shake-up.
Anyway, look at Jake. He's once more just pushing, and look at Tom Stevens is struggling to hold on through Magulo. Because the rears are really starting to get away from him, and now Jan Grankvist is noticing this as well, and he's starting to pounce.
Yeah, Stevens very defensive, and into the pits now. Tom Stevens pitting, so we're at the start of another pit window, and there's someone on
21 laps to go
as well, Adam Maguire. So THR and Nocturne guys, they work very closely together, of course, and deciding on a very similar strategy. Also, just quickly before something else happens and changes my train of thought, thank you for the kind comments in the chat, guys. Glad you're enjoying it and the professionalism of the streams and all that. I'll talk a bit more about that at the end of the stream when we get around to that. But anyway, back to the racing. Matthew Williams has DRS. They're going to come out side by side with Stevens, and Gorky though has come out as well. I didn't even see that he wasn't in the pits. He's just gone right over to slipstream. So Tom Stevens out in 4th position. He'll have traffic from Jeffrey Fournier just up ahead. Grankvist has still been pushing hard. He's now back within 0.6 of a second of Jake Dennehan. It seems that every time they shake Jan off, he's able to get straight back into the fight again. DRS wide open, and this looks very much like the battle at the start of the race where Grankvist and Dennehan were fighting over the lead. They are fighting over the lead once again, but with a big question mark hanging over Tom Stevens. Up through the gears they go once again. 7 gears these cars have, and Stevens goes through on Fournier, and that's going to be a successful overtake made before the braking, as into the pits behind go McGorgy and Williams, one of the battling duo, and they stop in their box. We have 20 laps remaining.
Both Dennehan and Grankvist, he's in the pit windows, Tom Stevens, so surely this is Dennehan and Grankvist trying to get Delta with fresher tyres near the end and get back through, as they've had to do for most of the race, to be honest. Yeah, Stevens 17.4 in Sector 1, Dennehan and Grankvist 17.7 and 17.8, so Stevens is really pushing to build that gap.
And I've just been very quickly corrected. These cars do actually have 8 gears, my apologies. I realised that previous 7 gears these cars have, shift straight into 8. But yes, anyway. Jan Grankvist side by side with Jake Dennehan and goes through using all of those 8 gears and flying through at about 200 miles per hour to take the lead of the race once again from Jake Dennehan. It's yet another lead change in the, and we're waiting for these drivers to pit. Surely it'll be this lap, at least for one of them. They're still right together down towards turn 4. And the battle is well and truly on for Jan Grankvist's first Grand Prix win, dare we say, with less than 20 laps to go. But don't forget, with Stevens pitting earlier than those two, there is a good chance he will jump them, and he is right on that bracket pit window. Now here
they've got to pit now, Caitlin, because if they don't, they'll be jumped by Adam Maguire as well.
I'm surprised neither of them pitted that last lap, but you're absolutely right. But surely they're going to come up behind Stevens, aren't they? So Stevens will take the race in this race.
I think they knew that the moment he went in.
God, so they're going to have to pass him on track towards the end. And they've got to hope that they have saved that.
This is risky. They're both staying out another lap, Caitlin.
Yep. On they go again.
And Dennehan's backed almost a little bit off, hasn't he? He's fallen with nearly half a second.
That's true. I'm going to
him.
see the difference in laps, or the gap. Sorry, I was struggling to find the word.
He was 6/10 slower last lap.
Finish line. He was 6/10 slower than Grankvist. That's absolutely right. And the gap between Grankvist and Stevens is 18 seconds. Exactly. as they cross the start finish line. Sorry, 18.7 seconds. I didn't factor in Jake Dennehan's gap as well. Sixter and Stepkovsky in.
And Maguire's another 4 seconds behind Stevens, isn't he? So there's only a 2-second margin really before Maguire gets through them as well.
Yep, and Maguire and Stevens are both absolutely flying, as they should be. Maguire sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:10.1. Stevens a 1:10.3. That's his personal best lap of the race. Crucial stuff because they know they have a chance to jump these two drivers out at the head of the field. And do they come in? No, they don't. Goodness me.
Well, they're committing to staying out then.
There's no way they can get to the end from here, can they? Going for softer tyres. That's a good shout, Szymon. But surely they. I mean, what's Yeah, they've done 20. They've done 20/21 laps tyres already, so they can't go longer than this. They've got to be trying to stay out for medium tyres, I think.
Well, time will tell whether it's the right move or not, but I think having to overtake Maguire as well as Stevens, I think they're giving themselves a little bit too much work to do. But shout out to Lalu, he's really stayed out long. He did 19, 19 and then 14 laps on the hard tyre, so he should have go use softs at some point near the end, but I expect Lalu to pit soon and go on a charge to the end to try and get that Super Venturi into the points.
That's a good example of the 3-stop strategy that I was talking about. And if Grankvist and Dennehan are indeed staying out for medium tyres, as we assume they are attempting to do, then they'll have completed the trinity of tyres, soft, medium and hard. And that's not the kind of thing you normally see, but here they come into the pit lane. It had to happen sooner rather than later. I'm surprised it happened this late, to be honest, but I guess if you know that Tom is going to lead the race, you've got to do something slightly different. And in they come. Now, keep an eye on those tyres. Sometimes they don't update for a little while, so they might be a little slow to change. It still looks like hard tyres, but we've got to wait for confirmation. Jake Dennehan. Hard tyres. Grankvist comes out just ahead. If those are hards, I think they might have missed a trick, because Tom's easily through. Now they will still have softer tyres, but look at Adam Maguire going through as well. He slots between them. Maguire pulls out the slipstream. Surely, well, he's on the outside line. And he goes through, so Adam Maguire is in position. Now it does appear that
was so unlucky
and Dennehan are on hard
Dennehan
tyres.
round the outside.
He's still there. Dennehan goes through. He's trying to get them both on the outside. Great move. There is no way.
But now he's being held up again by Adam Maguire. Remember what happened last time with these two, and Dennehan can't get his nose any closer than that, and this is just going to run as we watch this replay.
And Stevens leads by 5 seconds now. That's what they've got to gain on track before passing. This is fascinating stuff in the later stages. But yeah, Dennehan finds so much grip up there. But judging by the way they've been racing today, we do have to assume that curve is part of the racing circuit. But through he goes. Oh, and he gets right on the back of Maguire. Almost runs him out of road. Grankvist through on the outside. They might go 3 wide here. They will. They're 3 wide. Maguire's on the inside line. Grankvist on the outside. He's on the grass. Oh, is he in the... And he's spun.
How did they not come together?
Grankvist is around. Grankvist is spun. And it's just like it was in Japan. Now that's a backmarker going through, so he hasn't lost a place. And Maguire and Dennehan once again are side by side, and they both go wide. It's Verstappen and Hamilton all over it. Dennehan is second, but was that fair? Whoa, Ed, this has got feisty.
It's got messy is what's happened. But yeah, there was that brilliant move going around the outside into Larangina, where he slung shot around, and then Maguire defends really early. Dennehan has nowhere to go. Grankvist, as you say, slingshotting to the outside, so both Grankvist and Dennehan get DRS. We've got Dennehan in the middle, Grankvist on the outside, and I think Jan gets tagged, tries to avoid a collision, gets right on the brakes and just tags the rear wheel there. There was nowhere to go. So unlucky for Jan Grankvist.
Now I really feel for Jan because he sounded absolutely gutted in the interview room after the last Grand Prix. It seems, oh dear, it seems as if he can never catch a break.
Jan is right behind Adam Maguire now by a tenth.
He is, and I think he's still going to get a podium, but oh, he's dropped. No, sorry, he's dropped back, hasn't he? So I don't think that had quite updated yet.
He did set a purple middle sector, so he's certainly fired up. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
and what made the timing screen malfunction there is we see Szymon get the green stripes into the pit for its final stop, but that will... I think the reason they went for the hards is just so they could push them a bit harder in this final lap. They're hoping Tom Stevens just runs out of tyres here. He's got 7-lap old tyres. Denahan has only got 2-lap old tyres, so it's a 5-lap difference.
Yeah, I feel like they've cost each other too much time now because they're 7 seconds behind Stevens.
Adam Maguire has done Stevens a huge job in this race.
Absolutely he has, yeah. Now Maguire was holding his line through the final few corners of that last lap, so when Denahan cut to the inside, got run out of the road, that wasn't Maguire's fault. It was the second incident at turn 4 that we'd have to really look at. The turn 2 thing was very much a racing incident. It was 3 cars trying to fit into 1, and while you're technically allowed to do that, it's always extremely risky. So I don't think that one's going to end up resulting in a penalty.
Lap of the race for Denahan.
Yeah, and Grankvist beats it. So 2 cars suddenly in the 109s. That's the first time we've seen this race. Jakob Lalu in the pits too. Leaves it out very late, and he should go on to medium or soft tyres. Well, he'll have to, won't he? Because he's run the whole race on hard so far. Unless I'm very much mistaken. Down the start.
Yeah, you're right.
Back straight. Yes, he's on
mediums for Lalu, I think.
Out in P14. There's Tom Stevens. Denahan there 3/10 faster on the last lap. That's not going to be enough. If it continues at this rate, that will not be enough. I reckon that Stevens has done enough, providing he can bring the car home. Of course, traffic could come into play.
I think Matthias Moos is the leader of those trying to get through on a 2-stop then. He's done 15 laps on his current set of hard tyres, and he's 2.9 seconds ahead of Williams, who's right ahead of Fournier, Luke Maguire, and then there's a little gap to McGorgy, as well as somebody kicking up dust in the background, but nothing too major there. There we go. Denahan continuing to close the gap to it's now almost exactly 6 seconds now, or maybe 5 seconds actually, as it shows on screen, between himself and Tom Stevens. So Stevens still setting personal bests, but he is narrowly being closed in on, and this is going to be... It's going to have to take something special from Denahan to steal this one away, because Stevens, I think, is going to manage that gap to perfection.
So we're approaching the 60th lap of 71. Here comes Luke Maguire. Jakob Lalu swaps with David Feidock, and Fournier loses out to Szczyt. So Rural, my apologies, loses out to Szczyt. I was thinking of Fournier because he's in a good fight here with Luke Maguire.
Luke Maguire. Oh, and he touches him there at turn 8.
I don't think he touched him. He got wobbly over the curves, but I think they got away with it. And here's a replay now. Luke Maguire chasing down Matthew Williams. I think it's about time I did another calculation on the points as well, because with only...
Here we go then. A little bit off track, and tricky on the brakes, but you're right, Caitlin. They didn't touch. It was a slightly deceptive camera angle there.
Szymon, is there any chance we could see the live championship standings in terms of the teams championship? That's okay. Just out of interest here, because
another 2 tenths gained by Denahan on the previous lap, by the way.
Very good, very good. Yeah, quite frankly, if we have a graphic, it's much easier than trying to work it out and potentially get it wrong.
I'm pretty sure THR are ahead as things stand in both camps.
I think so too, with Roll only scoring 1 point as it stands. So there's Jan Grankvist running P4 on the tail of Adam Maguire, still very much within a chance of a podium. He'll feel that a win won't beg him though, because he's led so many times today. And yes, it would be THR winning it by 10 points as it stands, but you have to keep in mind 10 points is the swing that Denahan would get if he overtook Stevens for the lead. And of course, unless I'm very much mistaken, Edge Esports would take it on countback, so it's vitally important.
Has got 6 wins so far this season, and Stevens I think has only got 2.
Yeah, but there is another...
They have got the extra one from Luke as well.
I was going to say, yeah.
Baku, which originally, of course, Jake Denahan crossed the line first, but got the penalty for cutting the pit exit, which, of course, he won't want to be reminded of.
Yeah, but that's legit, you know.
that's just a little detail. Anyway, it's a legit win for Luke Maguire. You're absolutely right.
So it would be 7 wins to 4, which would give it to Edge Esports. Although Tom Stevens appears to have it in the bag with 10 laps remaining. Their last laps were almost identical, only separated by 1,000th of a second were Stevens and Dennehan. There is no way that Dennehan is catching him fast enough.
If he catches him 1,000th of a second per lap, he's only going to close by 10 thousandths.
Well done. That is indeed how numbers work. Jakub Ekalali, meanwhile, sets his own personal best after the race on those mediums. Unsurprisingly, of course, soft tyres, and Grankvist goes third. Grankvist is back up to third ahead of Adam Maguire, so that will ease the pain a little bit. And to be honest, it really puts it into perspective just how much of a conflicting sport it is when you can be disappointed with third place, having not yet won a Grand Prix, and yet other drivers may just be thrilled with top 10 or maybe even points. But anyway, the life standings have swung slightly there as well. 1 point.
Because Luke Maguire got
even
past Williams,
further ahead of Edge. Yeah, very good point. So they would win it by 11 points if it was to stand like this. Of course, that would mean that the teams and drivers' championships would fight different ways. Across the line once again. There is Tom Stevens, who's just put a lap on Yannis Woolburn. Didn't lose too much time doing that at all. Only 2 seconds to Dennehan. 0.2 of a second, my apologies. 2 seconds would be a bit more dramatic. And we're into the final 8 laps of the race. Luke Maguire hoping to put the nail in the coffin by making up even more positions. But remember, he's got to do it sensibly, since an error or an incident cost him everything. Matthias Moos just ahead has been doing some extremely long stints on hard. Last 29 laps, other people only did 20, and if he was to go to the end from here, that would be another 29 laps, I think. So definitely doable. He's going to struggle to hang on to 5th place, but I think the top 10 in Red Archer's last race would go down very well indeed from a driver who scored 2 of their victories.
It certainly would, and Matthias definitely, I think he went for the 2-stop purely because it's Red Archer's last race and he wants to try and risk it for a better position in top 6, top 7 maybe, rather than potentially finishing 10th or 11th like he qualified, I think. So I forget exactly where Matthias Moos qualified. It might have been just outside the top 10 if I remember correctly. But yeah, certainly great to see the Red Archer up there, especially since Jason Muscat exited the race so dramatically in the other Red Archer. But Luke Maguire is all over him at the moment. Needs to make that clean pass into turn 1, way later on the brakes. Nothing that Matthias Moos can really do about that. And now Matthew Williams is going to fancy a go at him and Jeffrey Fournier before too long as well.
Yeah. I'm glad the YouTube chat agrees with me. Oh, sorry, as that was Williams taking a look at Moose as well. Let's go through as quickly as possible. The YouTube chat agrees with me, saying that Grankvist accident was unlucky, not really anyone's fault. Yeah, that's exactly what I said at the time. It's the kind of thing that happens, especially at this point in the race. But definitely unfortunate, and the chat went a little bit crazy when that happened. Of course, Jan is an extremely popular driver, and gaining popularity all the time with his many near misses with race victories. I think Suzuka was his best race ever, despite finishing off the podium, and definitely his best chance of a Grand Prix victory to this date. And he certainly gained some fans on that day. Moose there seems to
actually extended the gap to Dennehan there. I wonder if he's using DRS from the back markers here as Williams defending from Jeffrey Fournier as they both cleared Matthias Moos.
Moose there was like, after you guys. That was interesting. Maybe focusing a bit
no
more
ties
on Gorky behind, but yeah, maybe trying to follow their slipstream. But even so,
21 lap old tyres.
Surely he lost
10 laps fresher.
Surely he lost unnecessary time doing that.
Oh, look at Fournier again at Larangina. And Ferradura just trying to go up the inside. That's such a tricky place to overtake, as we've seen before. Yeah, I really think Matthias Moos has seen how many people have bumped into each other today and lost time as a result, and thought, yeah, I want to avoid that. I want to at least get this car to the end now. And he might be able to hold off Owen McGorgy in the 5 laps to the left. As indeed, I think Tom Stevens is doing absolutely everything he needs to do to hold on to this win, because Denahan is just not quite closing quickly enough. And the hards are not exactly dropping off the cliff either, with them being 15 laps old. So.
And what did I say about qualifying not meaning everything? Tom Stevens qualified 5th for this Grand Prix, and this would be a very well-deserved win that he's really had to fight for. It would be his 4th victory of the season, and it would, well, if there was still a championship fight, it would bring the gap down to 22 points, and that will be the final result of the championship, providing, of course, neither of them get fastest lap or anything like that. It's been quite an entertaining championship the whole way through. I think 22 points does not tell the story whatsoever. It's felt more like a championship fight that should have come down to maybe 5 points, if that, and it certainly would have done if it hadn't been for the collision at turn 1 last time out in Abu Dhabi. It's definitely not been without its drama. You remember the Singapore Grand Prix where Denahan backed off trying to give back a position, ended up accidentally colliding with Grandfist and Stevens and being given a whole lap penalty as a result of that one. Remember Denahan's his penalty in Azerbaijan, and the way that he missed the Spanish Grand Prix due to a disconnection or a storm or something like that before the Grand Prix even started.
He knocked out the internet in Ireland, I think.
Exactly, and Stevens was able to win that race. So drama giveth and it taketh away, and it's really decided the championship fight this year. Gorky there, past 6th, that's for 9th position late on in the race, and that is the fight that Matthias Moos is focusing on me. I think that's McGorky trying to fend off 6th actually, because I was saying before how he was the closest competitor to Matthias Moos position, so 6th must have gone for a move and got his nose ahead but then dropped back. Only the top 15 drivers are now on the lead lap, so that means every driver who finishes on the lead lap will be in the points as it stands. Looks like we're going to have 22 finishes if they are to finish like this as well. And the drivers 21st and 22nd, Moritz and Thomas Rock, appear to be having a battle over fastest lap right now, both getting very close after a late pit stop. I think they're probably going to take the points away from someone up ahead. And oh yeah, so Moritz Kropp went across the line, set a 109.4, setting the fastest lap of the race, and then Thomas Rock came through 109.007, which is quite an unbelievable lap on race pace for Vigo. And
sounds more like quali pace we're leaning into, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean Denahan's quali lap of course was in the 106s, but it's definitely a very impressive lap time, and does mean, of course, that we're not going to have a fastest lap point to confuse the results or anything along those lines. And I think Stefan Rohr will be feeling a little guilty after the race, because yes, okay, the season as a whole decides the results, and it's not always been their fault for their dispositions, as Fournier once again fights with Williams, this time.
Oh, just about got it stopped into turn 1 as well. Great drive by Geoffrey Fournier today,
and
actually.
6th this time has got McGorky, so 6th is up to 9th. But yeah, as I was saying just now, I think today we'll be replaying that mistake that he made earlier, just thinking about what could have been. But to be honest, that statistic there, down 12 places, is going to really rub it in. Biggest gainer look, David Wasserman, up 8 places, although not yet into the points. I think you need a little more.
And Wasserman started right at the back as well, and gained 3 positions from people starting in the pits, I think.
That's
three
that's
people
very
out of the
true.
race as well.
And of course, Vassman scored his first point last time, or his first points at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But yeah, we definitely have needed a little nutrition for that to happen today. Only one lap to go after the one that we're on now. The gap to the lead is 5.3 seconds as they cross the start-finish line. I know it looks like it's come down dramatically. That's just how the mini sectors work around the circuit. So it's really that much of a swing, or as much of a swing as it looks. Here's Stepkovsky, Lalu, and Machete. Someone in the pits there. That's late. Someone going for a late fastest lap point, maybe. Thomas Rock. Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because he's been one of the drivers flying around for that fastest lap. So why not bolt on a set of softs and go for a one dash? And that's Moritz Kropp and Terence Grech there fighting over 20 position in the background. Why not, I suppose?
Yeah, the bad news for Vac is this result is going to mean that Adam Maguire is going to leapfrog him for 4th. I think we might even see Luke Maguire get past him as well, and potentially well, Lalu I think is a bit too far back down in 12th potentially, but if he can just sneak into the top 10 he might stand a chance, but he's 4 seconds behind Machete at the moment, as McGorgy's now half a second behind Sixtus. Those two keeping fighting has kept Matthias Moose, who keeps getting DRS from the back of Matt Williams, into that 8th position, so Red Archer may just hold on to 8th place.
And that is Yannis Woolburn off the road, so he will not points. We're on to the final lap of the race now, at 4.4 seconds, so it came down by a second. Denahan presumably using up the rest of his push to pass, but even so it's going to be too little too late.
No, it was a bad lap for Stevens actually, 1:11.5. Oh.
Strange incident for Yannis Woolburn, as he seems to run wide for no apparent reason and lost it while rejoining. But we look now to Tom Stevens. He may not have had the satisfaction of fighting for the World Championship today, but instead he's done everything he needs to for his. He's coming up to the line, and Tom Stevens will win the Brazilian Grand Prix. Well-deserved victory at that. Jake Denahan is going to come through in the background. The final gap is 4.211 seconds. A pretty exciting race all the way through. Grankvist claims another podium. That's his 7th podium of the year with no victories, I must say. What a season it has been for Jan Grankvist. The top 3 in the race were the top 3 in the championship, but not in that order. And now we look at Luke Maguire, who will cross the line to claim the championship for THR. So the team's championship goes the way of THR as a result of points from Tom Stevens and Luke Maguire. And let's not forget, of course, that... sorry, I'm just double checking the results. Let's not forget, of course, that Moritz Kropp and Chris Butcher also took outings in that kart. Failing to score points, but who's to say they didn't contribute to the setup and the morale behind the scenes. But there is Tom Stevens doing donuts. He's an exempt this season and very much deserved to be within a shout of winning the championship today. He won't be the world champion, but THR can celebrate. And remember, this is only their first season of GPVWC Super League, and right at the start of the day it looked as if Edge would be the ones to beat. Indeed they were, but THR have taken it to them. It's a Braun GP style story as they take the victory. Tom Stevens wins, Jake Denahan is second, followed by Jan Grankvist. Crunch as they finish the race, but that's okay, it's all over now. Adam Maguire P4, Luke Maguire P5, Jeffrey Fournier, Matthew Williams, Matthias Moose, Fabio 6, Owen McGorty. Please do not concentrate on what's going on in the background, because I don't think anyone's taking it seriously anymore, but oh well. And then the other drivers in the points pick positions to get that one were Ruben Machete, Jochen Lalu, Fabian Shirtzik, Daniel Stepkovsky, and Stefan Rohr. Poor Stefan Rohr there, who hopefully won't take it too harshly. Won't be too harsh on himself, but racing drivers usually are. Just missing out on points with the 2 stacks cars of David Feidoff and David Vassman. And then Yannis Woolburn, Florian Geyer, and Terence Grech rounded out the top 20. Moritz Kropp and Tomasz Wok. So Wok actually, when we saw him coming into the pits, retired race. Bit of a shame really, probably could have seen the checkered flag. Look at that, drivers pushing each other, flaming down the straight.
I think Denahan is detonated.
Yes, very good. And also retiring from this race were Mark Schluter, Robin Panzer, Jason Muscat and Luke Mitchell after big crashes all around. This has been a rather destructive race. I'm not just talking about what we're seeing on the screen right now. We've said many times this season that Jake Dennehan is on fire, but this gives a whole new meaning to the word.
It almost looks like the fire's coming out of his helmet from that.
Well, it probably
like
is.
Breathes fire.
Coming out from all around him. But anyway, and I see the THR drivers have decided to test out the new low drag variant of their car for next season. So who knows, maybe we'll see them going even faster next year than all along. And if you've enjoyed today's action, then make sure you keep watching the GPVWC YouTube channel. Any updates, any new broadcasts. I assume there's going to be a broadcast of the Young Drivers Test, and yours truly will be taking part in that, so wish me luck. And of course, the Race of Champions will be soon as well. That will be in December, I believe. And of course, if you're in the UK, make sure that you check out GPWC Day. It's going to be held in Milton Keynes this year, not Greece, as it was originally going to be held in. So that means that any of you guys in the UK will hopefully be able to join us, and it will be very good to meet you and hopefully thrash you at karting, depending on how good you are. But anyway, before we wrap up this broadcast and say our final goodbyes for the season, it's time to bring in some drivers for an interview, starting with third. Sorry, my mouse is not working right now, but starting with the third place driver. Hello there. Jan Grankvist. Jan, how are you doing?
Not well, really, to be honest.
Now, I said you'd say something along those lines because you were rather gutted after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, having got so close yet again to a victory. But third place, that's your 7th podium of the season. Surely you can't be too downbeat about it.
I mean, I'm still annoyed, even though it's a podium. I mean, I don't know what to even feel. It's at the same time, I know that I'm overperforming with the car just being the third worst in the grid at this point, and I know I should be satisfied with what I've managed to accomplish with it, but it still doesn't feel like it. I feel like I should have won this race, and whatever the hell Adam was doing, it just didn't help.
So, so the collision between the pair of you, yes,
yeah, well, I don't know what was shown on broadcast, but obviously coming out of the pits, Jake and I were initially ahead, but Adam got DRS on us coming out of the pits. Or like Adam was already on the track, and he somehow got DRS, blasted straight past us going into turn 4, and then he so to say Perez'd it for most of the lap after, and then going into the main straight, doing some very unpredictable moves. I don't know. It's why you'd be moving like that on the straight and expecting the car behind not to potentially crash into you, but whatever. And then obviously forcing us to go 3 wide, and that was it for me. I couldn't do anything on the outside. I could have maybe cut the track, but I mean, who knows what kind of penalties that would give me, or how much I would have had to lose time, or if I would have even spun over the sausage curbs. So I don't know. I don't know if I could have done anything better there, but I'm just annoyed.
Fair enough. I mean,
it's understandable, Jan. Can I ask a
yeah,
question?
the adrenaline is running high at the Sorry, Ed.
Yeah, so Jan, I was wondering, because you made a great move on Jake prior to the final pit stop, I was wondering why you and Jake stayed out so long there, because you knew you were going to get undercut by both Tom Stevens, and then that it would be close with Adam Maguire. Was the logic that you'd be able to push the hards a bit harder in the final stint? Because of course you did. You set very close to the fastest lap of the race for a long time there. Do you think it was the right call in hindsight now? Do you wish you'd pit early and undercut Jake to sort of try and avoid that, and Adam as well?
No, it was always sort of in the plan. Same thing, actually, a bit less a bit harder to spot in Abu Dhabi was the fact that the overcut was actually really powerful, just because of the DRS. And here the DRS was insane. So even if you were potentially even, I'd say, three. Jake and I both obviously seem to know that exact same fact. So as soon as I went into the pits, Jake followed me, and yeah, we were trying to overcut and then catch up to the DRS of Tom, I think, and then potentially conserve tires, conserve push to pass, and then wait for the right moment to make the decisive move for the win. But yeah, that didn't come to happen, obviously.
So looking at the season as a whole, third in the team's championship, third in the drivers, that's got to give you some hope and some momentum then for Superventure as we look to 2024 then, because there are still quite a lot of, like Caitlin said, 7 podiums this season. There's still quite a lot of positives to take out of it. That first win, when it comes, is going to be very, very satisfying. And mark my words, Jan, it will come.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no doubt. Right now, I might be a bit annoyed, but obviously, yeah, going into next season, I already know my strengths, and it's sooner or later. I don't doubt my skills in that way. So, yeah, we'll see when that first win comes.
All right. Well, congratulations on third place in the championship. Yeah, third place today as well. Like I said, I'm sure it's only going to be a matter of time. So please do stick around for us. 2024 could be your year.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you guys.
Very good. So that was Jan Grangfist there, one of the best drivers of the whole season, and one of the real breakthroughs as well. All right, we're now going to move on because
Can we drag the whole THR team in, Caitlin?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? I'm not sure who we're going to speak to first, but yeah, we can do. So we've got Luke, we've got Tom, we've got Chris. Ed, would you like to take it away?
Okay, so we're now joined by our 2023 GPVWC Super League's Teams Constructors Champions, and that is, of course, THR in their first season in Super League. So, Tom Stevens, Luke Maguire, Chris Butcher, congratulations, you did it, and in quite some style, with a win, of course, for Tom and Luke after a difficult first pit stop, recovering back up to 5th then. So, you must be delighted with that. First, Tom, first of all.
I think he's speechless.
Yeah, there we go. I thought there was an issue on my end. Right, Luke, first of all, then. So, like I said, tricky. Oh, Tom's he's embarrassed now. I've made him leave. So Luke, it was a really tricky. You were in the fight, in the mix, in the first stint, and then that first pit stop. I think I forget, you missed the pit box, didn't you? You just braked that a little bit too late. Had to reverse in. And from then on, you were sort of on the back foot, but you fought back brilliantly. There was a little incident, I think, with Owen McGorgy, where the two of you made contact. But other than that, you were just scything away through the field. It was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I think we changed something with the setup this round, and it really brought us back our race pace that we had at the start of the season. So, yeah, like, fair play to Tom Ely and Tom and all the lads that, we worked on the setup. We really prioritize race pace, and it showed. And yeah, that pit stop mistake, that's on me. I've done that before this season, so it's not the first time. But yeah, like, fair play to Tom. Tom's carried this team all season. I've only been picking up the scraps, but it was nice to have good pace today. And even though there was teams trying to hold us up and try and keep this team championship alive to the last lap, but I think our pace shone today, and we got the result that we needed, so we're delighted.
Well, 3 podiums, one of them a win. I don't think you were necessarily always picking up the scraps, but they were big scraps, if so. And definitely enough for the team's title. So, yeah, I have to say, that was a great recovery, Luke. And yeah, like I said, the only incident that comes to mind that was a little bit was the collision with Owen. I know it wasn't necessarily deliberate, but you were just with the DRS going around the outside, and there just wasn't quite enough space for 2 to go at that moment.
Yeah, that was just probably desperation at anything, but. Yeah, look, we got the job done, and yeah, it was a really fun race. So yeah, it was got what we wanted anyway. Well,
congratulations, Luke, on helping Tom Stevens and the rest of the team to secure that team's title. And we're now joined, I think, by Tom Stevens, the race winner, of course, with a fantastically executed strategy for the the fifth time this season, isn't it? That he's won. I'm trying to do the maths in my head, but yeah, won the Open fourth time. Sorry, not the fifth. I had an extra win there somewhere, but it's still quite an impressive tally. Second in the Drivers' Championship, but more importantly, victory in the Teams' Championship must feel incredibly sweet, Tom.
Oh, thank you very much. Going into this race, really not sure what to expect. Last few rounds didn't really go my way, so pushed a little bit harder for this one, and wow, yeah, it was a good race. Like, Brazil for me is naturally one of my best tracks, so for it to be the finale helped. And today, just everything, the car, the setup, everything just gelled with me, and yeah, the race pace was really good. So thanks to everyone at THR, thanks to everyone who works on the setup. It's a really big team effort and would not be possible without them.
Yeah, how did you feel? Because obviously qualifying didn't go quite to plan, starting fifth, but it was a strategy that made it. You didn't go for quite a big an undercut as like Stefan Rualt, for example, but you did just enough to get yourself stay in that leading group. And then you were able to sort of repel them for long enough to make the strategy work. Of course, occasionally Jake was able to get past you, and there was also the people running even longer than you as well, the likes of Robin Panzer and Matthias Moos going for the two-stop that you had to keep overtaking. So that must have been a real challenge to negotiate here, especially with such a short lap. You tend to run into people running long and running slower in front of you quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the setup on our car, we sort of aimed it way more towards the race than qualifying. So naturally, I'm not too disappointed with the quali, even though it was really tight up front. I did expect to be a bit further back, but P5 wasn't too bad. And then the plan after that was just to be aggressive on the start, make the places up, and just stick with the front train. And yeah, from there, I mean, what is it? The traffic was nowhere near as bad as it has been in the last few races. So we got the undercut done, and yeah, we just used the tyre delta to carry us forwards. But yeah, that's how it went, really.
And a final word, of course, I know you'd be disappointed to miss out 22 points to Jake Dennehan in the Drivers' Championship, but surely with the team's title under your belt, you've got to be feeling confident going into next season that surely you can get that first Super League title, Tom.
I mean, yeah, it's I'm really happy we've at least wrapped up one title, but this season I've just got to give it to Jake. He's been the man to beat all year. He's been the benchmark, so I'm happy for him that he's won it. He really deserves it.
Absolutely, that's great to hear. And I think both deserve champions in the drivers and teams categories. But hopefully for your sake, Tom, you and Luke can dispute it next year and we'll see who wins. But finally, let's hear a word from one of the bosses, one of the drivers at THR. That's, of course, Chris Butcher, who joins us now. So, Chris, after that big scare in Abu Dhabi, you must be breathing a very heavy sigh of relief now.
Oh, tell me about it. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, so
sorry
if I cough a little bit. But yeah, oh my God, massive grin on my face. I kind of thought after Abu Dhabi and Suzuka, which I sort of played a part in myself by crashing the car, I thought, oh no, we've thrown it all away.
Crashed car is better than no car.
Yeah, so yeah, just over the moon. You know, it's our first season in Super League. It's only our third full year, really, seriously in the career ladder. And we sort of came into it thinking we might be competitive, but we didn't really expect to be fighting for the teams championship or the drivers for that matter. Really, we expected it to be a bit of a building year, but you know the guys have done a phenomenal job. I couldn't be prouder of them. You know, Tom, Luke, Toby, and Tom Ely as well, plus other people that help behind the scenes like David Carter. You know, everybody's really pulled together and worked really well, and you know this result's testament to that. And yeah, they deserve it.
Absolutely, and there must be so much, like you say, work behind the scenes with the likes of Tom and the rest working on the setups. But there's also, of course, the car development side of things. Were there any tough decisions that you had to make with the resources at your disposal this year? Or do you think as long as you got the setup, then the drivers did the rest?
No, we did have to be a bit clever with it all because obviously, as a new team, the virtual budget that you get is limited. So you're just sort of starting from a baseline, really. So we had to be a bit clever with it, and we kind of worked out what we thought was the best path. And yeah, I think that's contributed because I think we, on paper, probably had one of the quicker cars, but obviously that's no good if your drivers aren't up to par either and not putting the effort in and what have you. So it's definitely a mixture of everything. It's the car development, it's the strategy, it's the drivers and the setup. It all comes together really to form. Well,
It's good.
the car,
taking
yeah.
notes for my because I do have ambitions to enter next season in FS2 with my own team, so I'm just trying to get as many notes down as I can.
But look,
good
it's
setup, good drivers, good development.
yeah.
Why there's no development in FS2, but you know what I mean.
But I have to say, it's obviously been a really tough fight with Edge this year. I think it's probably fair to say that there's not much love lost there. Which is a shame because we don't want to fall out with people or anything like that. But
Almost praising.
Well, I'm thankful for that. It's been really tough, and I can sort of understand ill feelings on either side, really. But I think either team would have been thoroughly deserving champions, to be honest with you. I think we've pushed each other really hard. It went down to the wire, and ultimately a little bit of luck played its part as well. I think Stefan had an unfortunate spin at one point in the race, which dropped him down the order. But you've kind of got to be there as well to pick up the pieces. So commiserations to them. I think they would have been deserving champions too. I'm thankful of the fight that we did have with them in a way because it's pushed us all season long, and I hope we can repeat that next year.
Yeah, it certainly was an engrossing championship fight, and it was great to go into the finale from a purely neutral point of view with the teams so close together. But of course, like it was for most of the season, it was THR that triumphed. So congratulations to you, Chris Butcher, to your drivers, Luke Maguire and Tom Stevens, and to everyone behind the scenes at THR. And of course, there are many, many fans. I'm sure they've got a few more now after sealing that team's title first time out. And let's see if you can maintain that title going into 2024. It's certainly not going to be an easy job.
Thank you very much.
Right, so I think we're going to let the THR team enjoy the evening now, possibly with some champagne. But who should we invite in next? I think there are three we haven't talked to. They're in the waiting room, so we'll go through them one by one. Shall we listen?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to be quick with these guys, but I do want to speak to everyone.
Shall we drag all three in or just one?
Let's do one at a time. I just very quickly want to say congrats to the guys because it has been a wonderful, wonderful season. And as you said, they've done a fantastic job. So let's go from top to bottom. David, sorry for making you wait. We were just talking in DMs and I completely misunderstood what you were trying to say. David, how are you doing?
Save the best for last. It's fine. Yep, good. Final sweaty race of the season. Yeah, I just wanted to do my usual thank yous at the end of the season to the GPV team, broadcast team, basically, and say thank you everyone and well done to THR for winning the constructors. Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating race for me because tested for the week. I finally had some time to do some and turned up and I was dead slow, so it's pretty frustrating. So I didn't really want to talk too much about it, but just wanted to say well done to the other guys. Apart from Tom for fighting me turn one, I wanted fastest lap.
Fair enough. Well, I wanted to say thank you to you because after pretty much every race this season, you've been one of the first drivers to message me kind of about the race and about the broadcast. So I do appreciate that, and yeah, just wanted to let the broadcast know this is a good guy here. So thanks, David.
Always. Well done to both of you for the season. It's been really enjoyable listening to. So hope you're back next season to do more.
Oh, thank you. I only did 3 races, David. So that's very
you
complimentary. But I think Ryan deserves a big shout out as well.
Yeah, Ryan too. Yeah. Where's Statman tonight?
No idea, but I'm sure he's having some fun with his family. I think cleaning up pumpkins after Halloween, I imagine. Mine's still out
Fair
front,
enough.
I think.
Okay, we are going to have to move through the last quite quickly. So thanks for joining us, David, and yeah, have a lovely rest of your year, I suppose. Oh, am I going to be seeing you at the GPW?
You broke up then. You said
Am
you-
I think
am I going
Caitlin
to
was
be
about to
seeing you
mention
at
Race of
GPWC
Champions.
Day?
Oh no, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay, see you then, David.
Cool. Bye.
Okay, so next we're going to bring in Florian Gaia. Hey, Florian, how are you doing?
Ah, Gottchen. Hey, man. I'm, well, a bit exhausted, but okay.
I mean, that seemed to be a pretty tough race. Unfortunately, no points at the end of that one, but even so. Have you had fun out there?
Well, yes and no. Yes, I had a few, well, one or two battles, but no, because for health reasons, I'm not as fast as I used to be, so I basically just make up the numbers.
I was going to ask actually, how are you doing? Because I remember you missed 2 races earlier this season. I'm not entirely sure what happened, how much you want to go into, but how are you doing in general?
Well, as I said, I have some health issues or reasons I don't want to go into, but
That's okay.
that's pretty much why I am where I am and not where I should be or where I want to be. But I just wanted Matt to do well and help him as much as I could, and I think he did a decent result today. So that's what matters for the team, that we showed that we can do well in Super League, and that was the main goal. Me for myself, I just try to not crash, to be honest.
And you didn't crash, so well done for plugging
Well,
on.
nearly twice, but I managed to save it.
Yeah, but you finished. You finished.
Yeah.
And the good news is, of course, Mode Auto Concepts by beating Piscar ADG avoid relegation for next season. Florian, I have to say, thank you very much. Despite not feeling 100%, I think we really appreciate you coming out there, putting on a show for us, and getting to the end of the season. Because sometimes even just finishing some of these races is a bit of an
Yeah.
achievement in of itself, especially like you say, if you're not feeling 100%. So, and it's always great to see you on track. So I appreciate you doing that, and also coming to talk to us afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I ever be at 100% again, but that's all right.
Oh.
Thanks, guys.
Well, keep it up, Float, because we know
Fingers
you have
crossed
potential.
you get
So...
a break off track as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could do with some luck off track.
Congrats, Flo. See you later.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, and last but not least, Ruben Machete. Hello, Ruben. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Very good. Well, you finished 11th today, so those are points. How did your race go from?
Yeah, well, I could have finished top 5 today if it wasn't on with the contact with Mark and didn't have damage, or didn't get tapped by Luke in the first corner and get damage and forgetting to unrepair the damage, so I don't have to repair. But yeah, it is what it is. Next season will be a better season, so I'm hyped.
Well, I should tell you, Ruben.
Sorry,
Go on.
I take it your plan for next season is to continue with Nocturne. Am I correct?
I can't tell you that.
Oh.
I got a seat ready for 2024, but yeah, I'm gonna announce it in some days. So
we've got a man with secrets here. Very good. Is there anything you want to say? Because I'm afraid we are going to have to move on quite quickly.
Well, I guess thanks for the season. It was my first ever Super League season. I think I did well. Lots to improve next year, and yeah, hopefully you had a fun season to commentate, fun season to watch, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, and yeah, congrats on your points today, Ruben.
Thank you.
And I should point out, Reuven, I believe you've beaten David Feidock, who just left there, to 15th in the Drivers' Championship, very marginally, but it's also 5th for Nocturne, so congratulations on that, on your first season.
Thank
That's
you.
not a bad return at all.
Thank you.
Indeed. So that was.
I wasn't waiting
Reuven
for
Machete.
David to leave to say that. It just happened.
No, that's okay. But that's the end of our broadcast for today. So, like we were saying, this has been a wonderful season of GPVWC Super League. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. My highlight of the year was the Japanese Prix. It was genuinely so good. I watched it back with my mum. The next, I think it was later on in the week. It's a Grand Prix that I will not be forgetting in a while. But there have been so many highlights from the drama of disqualifications and penalties to the action of on-track battles between Denahan and Stevens. I really think that we've seen a season for the ages this year. Ed, do you have any closing thoughts before we round it up?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed getting the chance to commentate on Super League for the first time, joining you and Ryan this season. Of course, I did Bahrain, I did Spa, which was a great race as well, with Robin Pansar triumphing, and then Stevens and Denahan just coming together at the bus stop chicane on the final lap in a very, very tense clash over second. I think, as many have said, I think Denahan and Stevens have both been the clear standouts, with Denahan having amazing qualifying pace and Stevens having superb strategies as well. And I think that's been a really fun fight to watch. But it's great to see the other drivers pop in here and there and put in really, really strong showings, like Jan Grankvist, like Thomas Vack, who, of course, won memorably in Suzuka, of course. And then you've got to think of the likes of Adam Maguire, who, of course, won in Singapore. Luke Maguire winning, of course, in Azerbaijan. He was very modest about his season, but I think he had a very good run. So many big stories. Mark Schluter coming out of nowhere and finishing second in Spain, I think, really stands out. And Matt Williams, of course, just coming in and just getting things together. A couple of top 7 finishes near the end of the season is great for Mode Auto Concepts as well. So lots of stories a little bit further down as well. Not really time to cover all of them, but very excited for next season to see if THR can hold on to that top spot, and if Jake Denahan's going to come back to defend that title from the likes of Tom Stevens and Grankvist. That's going to be very, very fun to watch. But as I said, I've really enjoyed commentating on it with you guys, and I think so many more twists and turns to come. But before that, Race of Champions to come, Caitlin, which I think we're going to be commentating on together once more.
Absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. Before we end as well, I want to say congratulations on a fantastic career for Red Archer and their team. Nikos Evangelidakos, I believe I said that roughly correctly. My apologies if I didn't. And his team had such an amazing time for the last 14 years, pretty much, in GPVWC. Definitely missed them in the paddock. Glad that Mateus Moose could give them a top 10 finish to see them out. That is the end of GPVWC Super League for the season, and GPVWC career ladder as a whole, with the exception of the occasional academy race potentially. But we will absolutely be back in 2024 with a revised calendar, with potentially some new teams and new drivers. It is certainly not going to be one to be missed. So thank you all very much for joining me all season long. Thank you to Szymon, Frelik for broadcasting. Thank you, Ed, for joining us in the commentary booth. Thank you to everyone that we've interviewed. Thank you to GPVWC for putting on such an amazing show. Of course, everyone involved in that, from the race director Chris Williamson to all of the graphics designers, broadcast, the team bosses, everyone involved. It would take way too long to thank everyone who deserves to be thanked, and I hope I get a chance to do it in person in GPVWC Day in a few weeks' time. Thank you all, and we will see you in 2000.